us fail, and it's awesome. It's awesome to watch quality football. I love football season. Thank you, the Bills, for pulling it out.
God.
Even though, let's be real, they got a little bit lucky. They got a little bit lucky with that fourth.
I know it's Washington versus Green Bay. That's why we talked about Washington.
I think Washington, Green Bay. I don't think Philly.
Oh, that's this Thursday.
I know, but I don't think Philly is the team in the NFC anymore. Let's kick it over to the midday. We'll be back at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And go get them, boys.
Boom. And this is how many Super Bowls. You know how many Super Bowls is that?
That's zero.
That's zero, right?
Yeah.
Which team do you think has 0 Super Bowls that I'm referring to right now?
In the past how many years?
Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Have the
Buffalo Bills. No, shout out to my man. We suck. I got it. The Buffalo won yesterday, but we're still better in my eyes, baby. Shout out to others, Inc. Gorev. We got Rats. We got Rex Banner and Ban Joseph. Shout out to Paul Goodson and the beautiful Gate Trip, Evan, Flow Grade, Ronaldo, R&D, Fiddlebeck, Mary. Finally, I can read these names, baby. Dan Gale, and shout out to Bart Simpson. We got Alton. We got 2 New York Cents. Shout out to my man Jacques and Greg Saluzzi, Robert Meyermill, Hangry Wife, and Trendline Tycoon. Shout out to Nick L, Just Nick. Shout out to Cowboy Mike, Laura Sanchez, and Mike Adams. Omar, we got Rats, and we got Buffalo Soldier, Soul One Queen, Double Eights. We got Kirk D. How about Rudy? All right, we got Michael Baldwin. We got Yummy Thai Foods. Shout out to Thai Food, one of my faves. And then we got Ben Joseph. And then we also have to take a timeout. Dara's got something at the big desk.
Yeah, I just have to provide some clarification here on that headline with regards to NVIDIA and Apple CEOs maybe coming and joining Donald Trump and this state visit to Britain next week. So there's a reporter here from Sky News posting on X that Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, is expected to join Trump at the state dinner. Now, Tim Cook has reportedly been invited, but it's unclear if he's going to attend. So Jensen Huang seems like he's very likely to attend. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, while invited, is not confirmed. We did also get these NY Fed inflation expectations here. Some commentary coming through saying that perceptions of the current financial situation lost ground in August and that the earnings expectation going forward here is mixed. Back to you.
For that, Dara.
Yeah.
Welcome back, brother.
Yeah,
Good to have you back.
Yeah, much appreciated. Always great to be back, man. Always great to be back.
What are you looking at today?
You know what? Surprisingly, not too much. Not too much, right? So I got my eyes on Apple right now, but as for the morning prep, didn't go exactly how I planned. So what do? We just relax a little bit and wait for something to kind of set up, and then maybe we'll take some opportunities. But obviously, preparation in the morning is extremely, extremely important. If you don't, then size down, right? You can't just roll out of bed, turn on your screen, and then think that you're going to have an uber successful day. I don't think that's necessarily the case. You'll have those one-off sessions where it is, but for the most part, you got to stick to routine. But yeah, there we go, guys. We're in some Apple. We'll see. It hasn't been doing much, right? Like we had the market climbing higher and some of the other bigger names, and then we got Apple just kind of moving southeast here. But there's some indecision prints that we like, so maybe we'll get involved in that. And then obviously, of course, I have my eyes on the crypto space, so we'll see what Ethereum's up to and Bitcoin is, because it's close to the high of the day here. Let's actually pull up some IBIT. And that's the thing, I'm really small here on Apple, so I just want to sit in this trade to see if it can break up nice indecision prints around the lows. But as for IBIT, are we going to go and break through this? Maybe, possibly. I like what we're experiencing right now, and then also with Ethereum starting to grind a little higher. And look at this volume really kick in. Wow. Okay, that's why we want to keep our eye on these things. So this is a genuine breakout. This is something that we extremely, extremely want to keep our eyes on, and is extremely important. So that's something positive there for ETHA. And I was talking to Sharif. I'm like, what do I do? Do I sell a little bit here, wait for that liquidity grab, and then get back in, or do we just hodl? I don't necessarily want to, because it's not, that portfolio is not necessarily meant for that. But let's see what we got going on. Is this a genuine volume print? And there it is on the lower time frames. We can really start to see it accelerate as we punch through some key resistance zones. So patience, pullback, and then maybe we're going to look to participate to the top side there, Sharif.
All right, guys, couple of positions on right now. INHD. This was a hold, or is a holdover from last week, I believe. We're in here at 60s. We've wet the beak up into 80s. Alas, it's trying to hold the $0.50. Let's see if it can work its way above 13. We've got 2 levels unprinted here, or 2 profit takers, resting profit takers that are unprinted. One a little bit below 13, one a little bit above. This one, full disclosure, is a little spready. 75 on the bid, 61 on the ask. Let's see if it maintains that way. Sometimes it tightens up the spread. Some other times, not so much. I see Yannick, KRKR, that is blocked on our system. We will not be able to trade that, but I do have eyes on it, up over 90%. I've tried executing on it a couple of times, getting a negatory response on that, but thank you for pointing it out. Now this one, SkyQ, I'm looking for a volume-weighted average price hold and a hold of this area level over here. So I perceived SkyQ, a sub $1 name, to have some support at 80. It looks like it is losing that right now, down into about 79, 80 pennies. Let's see if it's able to work kind of back up and into that 85 penny area where I'm waiting for a profit taker. It does look like it will lose that level, so we will go negative on this one here. Keeping my eye though on INHD. This is a one that I'm really focused on for continuation back above 3. You're getting a respectable hold off the volume weighted average price or the 10 EMA. The 2 levels are awfully close together, separated only by a few pennies on a very volatile name. So anything below 12 ends a trade for me. We've taken one beak wetter here, but not much else to report on at the moment for this one. KRKR is the one that Yannick was talking about. It's all sorts of strong. 11.11 the high of the day. It's showing you 10.50, 10.40 right now. A textbook hold off that $9 area, which also happened to be the 10 EMA on the 5, and rocketing right back up again. This one is a little illiquid on the day, so be careful with it. We haven't even done 1 million shares quite yet, 933,000 shares, but you feel like that's going to change very shortly here as we really get close to that million and people are piling in now, especially if we take out that high of the day, 11.11, it's going to be all sorts of crazy. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. But I know the one that you guys want to talk about is the first 1,000% winner we have above $1 on the year, and this one destroyed that level by some distance, man. I wasn't here for the percentage up into 57, but I've seen this one dance in the mid 2000s, well, probably over that at a time. Fantastic look from Octo. It's very consolidative at the moment with a very wide range, essentially 45 and a fifth, 45 and a quarter to the upside, and generally I want to say 37-ish to the downside, but that's been breached multiple times on a wick basis, but hasn't decidedly closed above or below those levels. It feels like it's bull flagging. Now, whether you want to take the risk of trying to pick it up at the lower end of the flag component of the bull flag, which I'm talking about, 35, 36, 37, you want to do that in anticipation for the bull flag continuation above 45, 46, and maybe even that 57 high of the day. That's really your prerogative. I could see myself under circumstances doing that, but not at the moment, where you're forced to give this $2 or $3 worth of risk, which is a little bit beyond my appetite at the moment. So I did get stopped out of SkyQ. This one I just don't have a read on. If it breaks back above 85, we'll keep an eye out on that. But I'm really going to focus now on INHD because, Joey, it is losing the 10 EMA, so it does look like a Christmas tree retracement where it has a very strong upside move and an equally strong downside move. Let's see what this one does with 12.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, yeah, I appreciate all the beard comments. I'm thinking about growing it out maybe till my birthday. I don't know. We'll see what we got going on. Yeah, we could do it, but it gets itchy, man. I have the issues with the beard itch, so. All right. So, yeah, I mean, there it is, right? So Apple, you can see that we're long right off of this hammer candle. Volume not there, but as we pushed higher, volume didn't really pick up and accelerate and how we were looking for it to do so. And then now we just get this extremely aggressive pushback. That's never positive as you run into some key resistance zones. Boom, algo's triggered. And then sure enough, you get that move to the downside. And the thing is with Ethereum, we're in this just super small to see if we can get crack-a-lacking on that. Volume supporting it, but then you have this pullback candle that almost has equal as much volume. So that's not always the best case scenario there. But again, we're going to give this plenty of room south of the volume-weighted average price. And then if it does go there, we'll get out and then get ourselves a better price because that's what we like to do. Hop out, hop right back in. And that's the name of the game that we like to play. But can Apple start to recover, or is that going to be it for this one? So as soon as we get the crack of 238.80s, then we're going to be gonzo on AAPL. I liked Google as well too. Here, guys, you can see it has the same, an identical hammer candle right around these lows. We like this, not quite isolated. Volume is there within those two prints, but we're also heading to the south side. So once it fills about 60% of this wick, the majority and the probability ends up in the favor of it continuing to the south side. So just keep that in mind. Ethereum heading right back up. Where's my entry on that? All right, we'll take that. We'll take that one, a couple pennies. Slowly started to cook up there. And yeah, thanks everyone for the wishes being back. It was a fantastic time, beautiful wedding, and we enjoyed all of that. But now it's time to get right back into these markets. Lots to talk about. There's no questioning. NVDA, I told you guys a while ago I bought some at 180 just to see if we could get a $10 pop on the earnings report, and we didn't. So I just hopped out of it this morning. It's just whatever. I didn't have much at all. So yeah, we'll continue to assess this situation. It's September, right? So we know the cyclical effects of the market, but I do like this hammer candle right at the lows. You might get a potential bounce right there, but you want a significantly better average price. I don't want to continuously DCA into this one, considering the bulk of my position is in ETHA there, Sharif.
All right, guys, I'm keeping an eye also on TLPH. I want to say it's a sub $1 name, but that would be inaccurate. It's $1.02, $1.01 at the moment, kind of bull flagging, very much near the high. $107 the high. I don't think it's decisively cleared the dollar sufficiently for me to weasel on, and I'm already out of the money on INHD. I don't want to take a riskier trade here, punching in at the high. So I see VWAP at around 90 pennies. I could definitely look to get in to VWAP at those levels. And I just got stopped out of INHD, by the way, guys. Broke down below 12, so we'll give back a little bit there. We'll start 0 for 2 on the day, but we're definitely going to keep my eye on these small cap gappers as they are in play. So it should be one of those days where you can definitely make up from some earlier losses if these bad boys keep going. So this 101 area, it's bull flagging, quite nice. My move is going to be to get in around here and to dollar cost average into 90 pennies where I see the volume weighted average price. So let's work into this one. We get 02 super quick. Let's set up another profit or a DCA at around 95, and then ultimately it will be at around 90. That will stop out. So we'll give this one an opportunity, and then let's just post over here for the dip buys. And there we go. We get that initial fill. So now we got 99s on as it zigs and zags. We still didn't get that lower end of the fill, though, at around 91. Here comes 92. Let's see if we can get the 91 fill, but someone's stepping in here with a buy order in the low to mid 90s. I'm talking about 92, 93. So we're going to wait over here and see if we can get that 91 fill and get a better price average than the one we have right now. I see KRKR continuing to go, guys. It's breaking out 144% into 1286. We won't be able to deal with that one as it is not tradable on our system, but we'll be able to report on it to you and let you know. KRKR is the ticker, breaking out aggressively to the high side. So keep continuing to watch here with TLPH as it finds a buyer in and around 92, kind of a random area. Didn't expect 92 to be the buy area. Was waiting for about a 90 print there as a result of VWAP. But you are getting a nice little buy up at this level. Back into 97 we go. So you have a higher low off this candle, but you also have a lower high. So candle of indecision and nothing really for me to execute on other than to continue to build the position, look for that move up. TLPH is the ticker I'm talking about. What else we got here on the top screen? Just looking to see if there are any new ones making their way onto the scene. Not really much going on at the moment for any new ones, but there's plenty of ones that were moving midday that we'll continue to try to trade, guys. So I'll bring in the side chart over here, just let you know this is what I'm looking at. Top left of your screen, TLPH, Octo bottom left. Then you have LDI, which is setting up in a decent way. It's above the volume weighted average price. It feels like it may have ended this lower high situation that was basically in all morning, kind of putting a few candles right now to higher lows. LDI, the ticker, that could be an interesting one there. But there goes TLPH back into the high. So we'll wet the beak there at 102, and then we'll set up at 105 as well. But it's got a decisively clear one, right? In order to kind of start using one as that level of support. So we'll keep tabs on that. In the meantime, We'll take off INHD and we'll load out LDI to see what the level 2 looks on that. It's on the New York Stock Exchange, guy, on the NYSE. 3-candle green setup on the 5 with a 403 high. It's south of 390 at the moment. It's above the 10 EMA. I'm going to try into this one right here. A loss of 80 gets me out, so we'll keep a tighter stop onto this one as we are still 0 for 2 on said day. So we'll keep an eye on that one, Joey. Yep. Let's see what we continue to get on.
Absolutely, guys. Ethereum's ripping, but don't forget, make sure you put in the $ and the tickers that you guys want to see. So we got OKTA right now with 164 sub. Bang, that's fire, man. So good luck there. I voted for my guy Robinhood, obviously. You got to stick with your boys and the individuals that have been treating you well, and that's that right there. So make sure you guys put in that $ and the ticker that you guys want to see us talk about on the rundown. Us, Sharif, more or less. But yeah, there it is, guys. All right, ETHA working out really nice for us. I didn't take any. I'll take a little bit more off up there. Bang. And there it is, a nice pop. I just got out of Apple. I was talking about the wick. Once the majority of it gets filled to the downside, the probability of it increasing and continuing to the southeast is there. But that ETHA breakout, just following the volume, essentially is what we're doing. Nothing special with that specific trade. You see that the volume on the 5-minute time frame start to step in, and then sure enough, you just want to follow what's going on there. So the buyers stepping in, buyers getting aggressive, and then now you want to follow through the breakout. So it's the continuation that we're going to be specifically looking for. It may or may not happen, but again, we took some off. We locked in some profits. Not going to complain about that, but we went 0 for 2 on AAPL. Which is, it's all right. So we tried twice. A nice little pop up, but then once it came back in here, I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good, considering how aggressive this selling was in here. So we'll just avoid this from now. And the channel is to the downside, so I don't want to be continuously trying to be buying breakouts when it may not be the case. And if we zoom out and take a look at what's been going on between Apple and Google for the past week or so, it's justifiable for it to slowly start to take a break. And I mean, I'm really surprised that we're still approximately 10% off of the previous all-time highs there on Apple. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. But I think it's only a matter of time until something comes a positive catalyst, and then sure enough, like Google, it's just gone. And then what's the percentage from this previous all-time high that we're up? So you're up 15%. So again, these guys can do anything at any given time, considering the AI boom that we're in. So yeah, be patient, and be patient once more to see what you got going on. But Google's starting to get aggressive, and this is what I was talking about. So even though you do, Gaurav, I know you're paying attention to this stuff all the time, and Los Polios, but once so we have our VPA signals, the volumes there supporting it. Everything on the thesis is supporting it, but once about 50 to 60% of the candle is breached to the downside, the probability in it continuing in that downwards trajectory is starting to drastically increase. Over the weekend, I grabbed a bunch of samples on what that case would be, and then that's what the number that I came up with there. So Ethereum, I think that's going to be our trade of the day. The crypto space continuingly being hot throughout the day as the Nasdaq, but again, there it is, and something supporting this. Actually, I wanted to bring this up here, ETH on the daily, and this is what Sharif and I were talking about a little bit earlier. He's like, all right, yeah, if you want to trail your stop there, I was thinking maybe this support here, but we were just both talking like, hey, usually you get these liquidity grabs and then you continue in the direction of what the underlying has been appreciating in. So that's what I'm thinking, but also we might be in luck. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but if we sit on this trend before we do that liquidity grab, then maybe we'll just continue and go and test those highs. So that's what I'm looking at right now, and I think we have a good chance because it looks pretty strong right now, Sharif.
Yeah, man, I'm always cheering that on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the only thing that I kind of meant by that, Joey, was like what I was trying to keep my eyes there. Are there higher lows? That's the
no, right?
I mean, like,
you got to give credit to this, right? The consistent,
in addition,
you know what I mean?
Sure,
so
100%. All right, guys, we're doing it freaking live right now on TLPH. Nice price spike up into the high of the day at 7s. We got the 7 print there on TLPH. Looking for more though, man. It's not decisively clearing the dollar in the way and in the fashion that you would like, in order to kind of look at that dollar not as a line of best fit or a price of best fit, but more as a support level. I would say we still haven't reached that stage with TLPH, but we're wetting the beak here with 97s on the moment going into 105. Now, there were sellers of note here at 102 and 104. For the moment, they've been removed, but that doesn't mean that they can't come back and reposition themselves right at that price level again now that we've dropped below it. So be on the lookout here for resistance at these pesky levels. I'm talking about the levels very close to that dollar area, for basically from $1 to about $1.15, give or take, until you've cleared it sufficiently. And that's not a hard and fast rule, just one that I've just observed in the past. So keeping my eye on that. LDI, we're still holding this at 82s. It's showing me here 79, so not that out of the money on it. I'm still interested in LDI into the volume weighted average price. That takes me into 72s. So I'll be looking to set some more here at 75s, get the beak wet there and see what's good. But I really always need to keep reminding you guys about this stock, KRKR. This is the best looking one in the market right now in small cap. Gapper World, it's up 180%. Obviously, it's not as high as Octo, but it's got a better looking chart pattern. 1476 the high, the day up 170 some odd percent. It is a bit spreadier at times. Right now it's showing 57s on the ask and 20 somethings on the bid. But that doesn't seem to be a prolonged state of affairs. The bid, or sorry, the spread seems to open up and then tighten up super quick again. So it doesn't seem to be that wide for all that long. So keep your eye on that one, trade it carefully. Back to TLPH as it comes right back south of $1 again. Now I got to be setting up for the range trade here, because that's what it's showing me. It's showing me that it's bull flagging. It's above the 10. It's above VWAP. So if I'm going to trade this as a breakout, my idea has to be to pick it up and to pick these up on the lower end of the bull flag, right? So there we go. We'll pick it up there at 95s. I see the volume weighted average price at 92. Let's see if it holds VWAP. It certainly has the majority of the time. That doesn't mean it will continue to do so. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to pick them up at lower levels, get your beak wetters ready, man. Get those profit takers ready for an upside move in case there is a liquidity grab on the downside and an aggressive move back up. So we're going to keep tabs on this one, Joey, as we dance here with TLPH just added into this one.
Nice. David Chizek, I think you mean 35, right? I'm assuming ETA hits 25 back on swing, but day trade looking good. Not too sure what you mean that, my friend. So I think you mean 35, right? So that makes sense if you think that we get back to 35 at some point today. And Hangry Wife, of course, anytime. I just try to play what's in play, right? Like, so I'll run my scans in the morning. I'll go through my technical setups. Even though I'm in some common names, like we had like our guy BPI, Patty Ice, he loved trading Amara, right? So some people just have vehicles that they feel that they're more in sync with. Like Katina Man was running Palantir for some time and AMD. So you kind of just get in sync with the stock. And then for me personally, if it works one day, I'm going to go back and try it again the next day, right? And I'm going to continuously do so until it doesn't work. You obviously, as I'd like to say, don't want to be trying to milk a stone all the time and force something that may not necessarily be there. But I feel that I can have the ability to see what's going on with some of the crypto space, and Ethereum and Bitcoin are some of my favorite vehicles to trade. It's the same thing with Shreve too. He likes his small caps. It's just in sync with what you go through your scans with and some things that you like to do. So there it is. Ethereum working out really, really nice for us. Grabbed it on the pullback. And again, it's just the most simplistic thesis of just noticing the volume step in and looking to participate in that specific direction. So there it is. IBIT not too bad either, heading right back up to 64. We'll take this all day. Big time, all day, brother. Big time gap down. Like we're still HODL. I know you bought some more not too long ago as well, Shreve, which is good. Yeah,
BTC?
IBIT, yeah, around the 110s or 109, you might even got some. So that's prime time, getting it right at the lower end of the range there. So, yeah, really good stuff. ETHA, same thing. And if we can get this triangle, like this is what I feel like it's doing, as Shreve mentioned, we got those consistent higher lows, and we're starting to form this price compression pattern. I want it to break and then just go absolutely insane and head into like $6,000 or something like that. But that's obviously, you can dream a bit, right? What good is life without a little bit of dreaming? But then you want to be a little bit realistic at the exact same time and not get too giddy off of the hopium that the stock market can most definitely lead you into. So yeah, that's what we're cooking up. ETHA, I don't have much left. We got one more out. Maybe we'll hold it up for 33.25s, and then we'll reassess the situation, wait for an additional pullback, and then look to get involved in some other names or stick to the guns that have been working for us. And there it is, right? So this is what we're talking about. Break through this, and I think we can be off to the races and potentially test this previous high there, Shu.
All right, Joey. TLPH breaking down below my level, so we got stopped out of the remaining amount on this one. We will give back on this one as well. Yeah, they're not holding up today, baby. At least not off the levels off which I base my trade. So we're going to need to be mindful of that. You know, looked like it was going to be a great morning for small caps with OKTA and a bunch of others as well. KRKR, RAP, Ford as well. Hour was testing local area highs, but it feels like they are giving back and they're not holding off key technical levels. So that's the way that the cookie crumbles. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And I'll have to keep talking about this one. KRKR up 192.7%, 0.75%, and halted again to the upside. 1534 is the halt level. This is a Nasdaq stock, so we'll be able to see the theoretical auction price as we are waiting for this to reopen. Only about 16 pennies. No, a little bit more now. 1566, 1568, the theoretical auction price. So this one is really going. Keep your eye on this one. KRKR up 192% and really giving nothing back at this level. So we'll keep tabs on that. Not sure why this TLPH trade is continuing to trade against me over here. I thought I got out of that one. Let's move back, though, and have a look at this SkyQ trade that we're still involved, or sorry, not SkyQ, LDI, that we're still involved with. This one is coming back into the volume-weighted average price. So they're all giving it up, for the exception of one, and that is KRKR. They're all breaking down. So if you see any new ones, bring it to my attention, because I personally don't see any good ones right now forming on the 1 minute or the 5 minute. Okay, correction, TRON. This one does look like it's breaking out. Let's have a look at this one. TRON. Let's flip to the minute on that. We'll analyze the 5 minute actually first. Okay, so good breakout. A little light on volume. Well, not bad. $3 name, about 6.5 million shares. Not too bad. Good bull flag breakout above 360. You can kind of see the sellers were stepping in there aggressively and then up into 389 and go. So it really feels like maybe this one in KRKR, but the other one we can't trade. So we're going to look at putting this one on the side chart and we'll look to set up. If this one comes into about 370, 365, I don't want to punch in at highs, but I also don't want to not be involved in this one. So let's set up on a trading screen over here now that TLPH has lost all the levels that I care about. We'll look at TRON. There it goes into the highs. So it looks like it's going to take out highs. 389 high. We're just showing you 89. So I'm going to set up at this on this one at 70. So let's wait at 70 for a possible retracement. I will be looking to add into 60 because I perceive that to be the breakout level. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Otherwise, there's not much else. There's PL as well, but that kind of dead. Shout out to the Premier League, who for whatever reason, Joseph, I don't know why, man, why they do this, but like they start the Premier League and they start like professional soccer in Europe 3 weeks, and then they have to take a break because they do the internationals.
Oh,
it's like, and then they do it every month until November. So every month there's like a week and a half off. So it felt naked without the Prem, bro.
But I mean, hey, you got football.
We got football.
Did you watch any of that yesterday?
I watched a little bit of the Ravens Bills when I got back home, but yeah, I was watching. The Bills were losing. Then they found out from your friend Neil this morning that they were winning. So shout out to your boy Neil, because I think if the Bills lost and we came in this morning, I don't think he would be as happy as he is right now. That's for dang certain. I've seen it, baby.
It's coming in over there. It's coming in hot.
Coming in. He wants. Okay.
The issue with that, though, is they didn't lose. They won. Unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who took, well, you know, at the end of the day, when you lose your best player, things probably aren't going to go well. And I understand. I feel for all the Dallas Cowboys fans out there. It's going to be a relatively long year for them. But as far as I can tell, the Buffalo Bills are still the same team. They got the MVP, and he's unstoppable. Ultimately, I like the defense to play a little bit better. But what can you do? The W is a W. And just in the chat, I'm going to answer this because Joseph asked me what was going on. I've been talking to some of the people about this Phillies fan Karen thing. I don't know if you guys know about this. But I genuinely, and if you don't know what's going on with this Phillies fan, there was a lady at a Phillies game. A home run ball gets hit by a Philadelphia player. It goes into the row in front of her. She tries to get it. Another guy gets there before her, and he gets the ball first.
God,
he walks back to where he was sitting to give it to his son. She comes over and decides to start yelling at them like it was her ball and it was in my hands. Puts hands on the guy even. He concedes and gives the ball back, at which point I guess everyone on TV found out. And you know what the team does in that situation?
Neil,
the team goes
that thing made the rounds online quicker than she could sneeze, baby.
Wow. My first thing is apparently, like, look, I don't think you should cancel someone over their worst moment.
No.
I would like to hope that lady feels horrible about it.
Better.
And everyone should get the benefit of the doubt to a certain
agree
extent.
with that.
If she comes back after and is apologizing, then why can't everyone just, let bygones be bygones? Personally, you always give the ball to a kid, man. There's no better feeling in the world than when, you can do something to make somebody else's day. So I don't know why people wouldn't be trying to do that anyway.
She didn't even look to see that the fact that the kid had it. She just went right to the man, started chirping it. But, Neil, you bring up a fantastic point. None of us want to be judged on any one moment in time that we've lived in our life. We are so much more than that. But, yeah, it looks really ugly, what she did.
You said it well there. And I like the long and ETH Joey options.
Oh,
so get going there. And Tron, the world. I don't know if that stock's going to make you the world's richest man, but hopefully it goes up like you have a hot hand at a dice game.
Right. No, you know what's funny though? The way Neil. 1 second. The way Neil started that off, it sounded like that Kanye West speech when he won whatever award. He's like, "I wonder what would have happened if I didn't win this award."
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, but there's a whole, what's it called, trend that's on that. Right? That people did that on TikTok.
I guess you'll never know. Dara, what do you got for us?
Get it, Dara.
Okay, it's our crypto segment time. Let's talk about OCTO. Here is the stock. This is AVGO Holdings. Now, AVGO Holdings is moving in part because of these two men. Let's talk about it. The man to the left is Tom Lee. The man to the right is Dan Ives of Wedbush. So Tom Lee has already been involved with for at least, I think, over a month now, almost 2 months, maybe more than 2 months. It was, again, end of June, start of July. He's been involved with this Bitmine immersion. They announced at that time that they were going to be starting this Ethereum treasury strategy. Well, now Bitmine immersion is teaming up with this AVGO Holdings for a WorldCoin treasury strategy. Now, Dan Ives is going to become the new chairman of the board for WorldCoin. WorldCoin is going to be getting involved in this first ever WorldCoin treasury, starting with a $250 million private placement, in addition to a $20 million backing here from Bitmine. So that's where Bitmine and Tom Lee come into this. Interesting stuff. Of course, Dan Ives, known for his colorful shirts, his tech bullishness, and he also has this Ives, IVES, AI and tech ETF. Now, let's actually look at crypto here. Bitcoin coming into a really interesting level on the daily chart. We've now had some resistance around that 13,400 level twice, but now we've also made a higher low in the daily. So if we can break above that 13,400, could be a nice breakout level for Bitcoin. Right now, we're about 600 points away from that level. Back to you.
Dara, so yeah, same thing here. We got our last out remaining. We're going to wait till 33.25s there on the crypto space, so some good stuff on that front. But now let's take a look at some of the top performing sectors and see what we got going here. The tech sector up 1%, guys, sitting in first place. It's a good thing seeing that. And then we have the consumer discretionary up about 0.6. And then also the industrial sitting in that third place spot, up just under 0.4% there. So, okay, we have the financials relatively flat, and you've seen a big down move on Friday in the financials. And then utilities, the third last, down 0.8. We have the consumer staples down 0.9, and then real estate down 1 1/5 there, guys. So those are your best and worst performing sectors. And there goes Apple. So Gaurav, yeah, this is that's what I'm talking about. Just didn't want to get rocking and rolling here today, so I took a couple of attempts. The indecision prints were there. I just don't think the volume was supporting our thesis. But yeah, I mean, Los Pollos, good work. Also on the bull flag, we were talking about this on NVDA, right at the volume weighted average price, and then sure enough, you get that beautiful bounce off of the specific indicator, and then now you're heading back towards that high of the day. Downtrend snapped, positive. Now you want the 5-minute candles to hold above that, and then maybe you can continue that trajectory to the northeast. And this is what I was referring to either as well too. I don't know why I don't have it on my thing. Oh, because I did that. Sharif, I did that thing on the platform where on each different desktop you can have a setting, or each different like obviously management thing. It doesn't display on this one, but so what I do, I just go through some of the names on the weekend, and then I grade the potential setups. And this is sitting around a CC plus. The volume isn't really there, but some nice indecision prints south of the some key support levels, and then sure enough, you get a nice little bounce here on the day.
All right, guys. Yeah, man, they're not cooperating. Hopefully, Tron cooperates here. It's finding a nice bounce off the 10 EMA, trying to break above 78. I'm actually waiting at 78, but the spread is what it is, so we'll have to continue to wait a little bit more for our first print. There's 78s again. There we go. Now we get across. Let's set up at 82s, and then we're going to set up at 88s for the break of the high. So it did pop up there into 82s. The 89 penny level is the high of the day on TRON. But it's really this show over here. It's the KR show. This is insane. It's absolutely flying to the high side. It's halted up again. 1805, the halt level, it's up 244.5%. The theoretical auction price, the top, always here on my screen if you're able to zoom, 1805. So basically shadowing the halt price itself, which is 1805. No change there. So we'll continue to watch. This one will be open earliest 11:30. Sorry, it halted 11:33.42. So at earliest, it'll be open 11:38.42. It could be longer. It could be shorter. Keep your eye on this one. I'm talking about KRKR. We'll have to pack our patience and keep an eye out on that for you guys, but we won't be trading it. I want to bring to your attention another one over here. I don't know. This one, it's not setting up in the right way for me yet, but I'm seeing it come up on my scanner. ACRV. ACRV is a ticker. It's up 30, almost 31%, $1.88 high. But as you can see, this one was moving in the aftermarket on Friday, and it got to a level of about almost $2, $1.99, $1.98. Alas, it's still about 10, 12 pennies below that. So I treat the aftermarket high on the prior date in the same way I would treat the current pre-market high on this day. So it hasn't cleared it. So I would insist sort of that this get above $1.99 before I weasel on in. But yeah, I just want to point that out to you guys so you guys could have advance notice of it or trade it however you want. So we'll keep tabs on that. How are we doing here on LDI? I did move my stop up to tighten up a little bit on LDI, but it is also coming back down. It looks like it's going to lose the volume weighted average price. My stop below that's at 67s. It's showing me 72s, 73s now, but it's still putting in lower lows and lower highs. Only one beak wetter on TRON, as that did pop into the high 70s, low 80s, and we didn't get the fill in the low 80s, so only one profit taker on this one, but I do have an order resting there for more at that 60 breakout level. That's the level that I perceive we broke out of the bull flag on TRON. So pack my patience on that one. But ACRV is putting in another move over here. So let's load up ACRV. I don't want to remove Octo because I may want to punch into that at some point if it sets up. But ACRV, let's set up on that one. Let's see how this one's doing. So we're still putting in these lower highs. So even though, I wouldn't trade this just from a price level because below the aftermarket high from yesterday, it's also on a trend basis, not setting up, right? So I've been lured into these before. I would have to insist on a trend break to the high side above that trend line before weaseling on in because it's continuing to put in lower highs. KRKR is open. Where is that one? There we go. Topping tail into 2019. Up into down into 19, but there it goes right back into 20. So KRKR now up over 270%, 2019 high. It's trying to clear 20 right now. Keep your eye out on this one. I'm just going to see if it's still blocked in our system. Yeah. Oh, wow, it's not. Okay, so it's been unblocked. So somebody asked for this to get unblocked because now we can execute on it. I just hope that it's not too far away for us to be able to weasel on in. It's already gotten a lot of eyes on it, and the short sellers are going to be as interested in getting short on this one for the mean reversion as the longs will be now that we're well extended away from the 10 EMA. The 10 EMA on this one's 14 to 3rd. You got a high of 2019. So keep your eye here on KRKR. It's live for us now. So we'll be able to execute on it, but is this the right time? We're super extended here, Joey. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to punch in at these levels. Need to see a little bit more. That could be to my detriment, as this one is going to halt up again. Fake halt, false halt into 2136. Look for the continuation now into the second halt level, which is showing as 41 or 30. Oh, 41 on the ask, 36 on the bid. So there you go. It's going to halt up again in a few more seconds. Let's see if we can halt, gray out. Now, we didn't get punched in. I tried to punch in at the last second there for added effect.
Ooh,
but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
That's all right, man. Not everything, unfortunately, goes as planned, but that's why. Yeah, okay, so there it is. I found some things here, a couple of the names that I was going over. So you can see just the alerts, but one thing that I just want to focus on is just the similarities within, let's hide this right now, within all these potential setups, right? So these are swing trades that I've been looking at. I got to keep my eyes on Ethereum just in case it comes back to my break even there. So we only have a couple more pennies until we do get stopped out. But there's Dash, right? So it's just the similarities within all these patterns. So you can see that we have this volume print. It is holding up relatively well. So that's a nice indecision. And then you're looking for a potential bounce, right? Just a couple point swing. And then Reddit was the one that has been working the best. But you can see the similarities between these two setups is that there it is. You get this hammer candle after you experience about a 15% pullback or so. Yeah, so there it is. And the exact same thing with RDDT. So you get that pullback, and then you get that indecision print, roughly close to the same percentage metric, and this one's working out really, really well. Am I involved in the name? No, this is just things that I'm observing, and the exact same thing with Palantir, right? So you go down 20% plus, and then sure enough, you have this isolated volume signature and the exact same thing. You're holding this consolidation phase. So if you get an open above this 160 range, maybe you get a pop. Am I saying that you're going to go and breach these all-time highs? No. Essentially what the trade is you're looking for a couple points, you sell a bit, you leave a little bit of a runner, it either continues to do so, or you just get out all break even. Same thing with AMAT. Why am I looking at AMAT? You can say, Joe, well, the isolated volume isn't there and the price action hammers aren't relatively all the same. Well, I'm going to give you another example of something that I've observed. So there it is. You have all these indecision prints around these lows. And then if we go over to Micron, it's the same thing. I told you guys a while ago I took a loss on this one, but it's just like, okay, so you have the indecision print, you're looking for the bounce, it breaks the low, then a couple days later you get those prints and then you get that massive bump up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here on AMAT. But see, that trade is already set sail and it's essentially $7 higher than the break of this specific candle and when you'd want to get involved in right there. So not too bad. And the exact same with Dell, you get the gap down after earnings, volumes there, it sells a little bit more, but then you get an additional pop. Same thing with Coin. The volume isn't there, and it's like it's almost a month or so after the earnings report. So keep an eye out on this. But if this base continuously holds like how it is right now, then maybe you'll get a little bit of a bounce. And I wouldn't trade Coin. I would more or less go Coin L. But remember, these leverage ETFs, they are not investment vehicles. They're more or less intraday trading and shorter duration trade vehicles. And the same thing here with NVDA. You're down 10%. And then you have that indecision print. Isolated volume signature, not necessarily there, but you have multiple hammer candles around these lows, and then sure enough, you experience that high. So that's just kind of what I do, looking for potential swing trades. And you guys already know that I'm in Ethereum, so again, I got to be patient. And that's what I'm contemplating is like, do I let this go, give myself another opportunity to get involved once again, and then potentially take some more trades, or do I just let this ride and stick to my initial game plan of, hey, I would love to hold this to the end of the year to see what happens? Because anything can happen. So, and especially with how bullish I personally am within the space, it doesn't matter what I think necessarily, but I think that there's a lot backing this potential trade there. And there it goes, NVDA giving back a little bit of that breakout. The 5-minute couldn't hold through this downtrend, and now we're heading back into the middle of this range. As long as the volume profile stays relatively cool, then you might be good. Sharif is most definitely going to point this out, those higher lows, there's no questioning that. So until that snaps to the downside, I think this bull flag, you get that price compression, and then the chances are of the continuation to the top side are there, or it might have done its move for today, considering, once again, it is September, guys.
Sounds good, Joey. I dealt with the Octo a little bit over here. We got in, we got out, a couple of beak wetters, stopped out for the remaining amount. I don't think it's setting up quite yet. It did pop through 40, and then it dropped back down. So the bulls are certainly not in control quite yet as it continues to consolidate. In fact, it still feels like the bears are still in control, or the profits being taken by the longs, because we're still putting incrementally lower highs. So if you were to look at the prior area, generally high was 47.25. Forget about this topping till into 57. So 47.25, and then you kind of get 45.25, and then you get a bit of 45. And here it looks like the best we're doing is 42 on the day, as it comes right back down into those lows. So losing 37. There does seem to be a lot of buying at 35.25. Whether that, continues to be the case or what the situation is, be on the lookout for that, right? 35.25, it seems like the buyers are stepping in. Now, you may not get that price if you don't have enough of a variance between your trigger price and your limit price, because it's spready. So when we were moving on up and we were crossing easily here, some of the levels that I was putting my resting orders at, and it wasn't getting printed as a result of the spread. So it's going to work both ways, to the upside and the downside. So be on the lookout for that 35.25. Buyers could be stepping up there. Still keeping my position here in TRON, looking for this general 60 penny area to hold, even though it's an 89 high. This was the breakout area from the earlier bull flag. We certainly didn't get a bull flag second time around, as we've given up almost 2/3 of the breakout. From that 50 penny area, now holding at 60 generally. Be on the lookout for that. KRKR finally halted down for the first, well, I don't know if it's the first time or not, but this thing was all sorts of strong to the upside. 21.36 high. That was the halt level. It opens up at 20.11, below the halt level by over $1, and now it's halted down at 18.10. It will be open at earliest 12.50. 47, as this one did halt 11:45.47. So be on the lookout for that. But I'm seeing Octo starting to curl back again for another opportunity here. So now you've got four candles that have closed green on the 5, but really no decisive move above that $40 area. It seems to be finding generally some support here at the 20. But yeah, this isn't the trade for me. I'm going to have to continue to deal with the consolidation. I'll just rather get the breakout and then look for a micro pullback on the breakout, and then we'll just ride that wave. PL, another one that I mentioned earlier on, which is hanging out near the highs, but not doing a whole lot other than that. This is trading on the NYSE. 1 penny spread on PL. It's done about 36.5 million shares on the day. 898 high, showing me 88's generally been respectful of the 10 EMA at the 5. Let's see if we can weasel on into this one and try to ride a flat top break. Don't mind dollar cost averaging again into 75, but this has just not been the day for these small cap gappers. I've been having trouble catching a win on some of them. So, yeah, Joey, we're going to have to continue to try here, but definitely not. They're not biting today, baby.
Yeah, sometimes the fish ain't biting, brother. That's how it.
That's how it is.
Yeah, man. That's part of the nature of the game for sure. Yeah, but again, like anything can happen, right? Like you seen the one today went up 2,400% at some point today. Anything can pop off at any given moment. So there goes NVIDIA breaking down, and there comes Ethereum. So we were long right here, and then you get that move all the way up into 33.18. So we'll see if that continues to break down. Hey, for all my options traders, answer this question for me. Are you running risk reversals right now? I'm curious to think. Because considering if you're long some calls, you can sell some puts as well too. So I know Pug Life. Where's Pug Life been? I haven't seen this guy in the chat. I gotta tag him. And I know Havana. I haven't seen Pug Life. So yeah, let me ask: are you guys trading risk reversals, or now is not currently the environment to do so? Because they're obviously extremely directional to that aspect. So yeah. I'm curious because I was reading over some stuff and some individuals saying, yeah, they like risk reversals currently right now, which I found pretty interesting. Curious to what you guys think. Obviously, the more ears and the more opinions, the better. But with that being said, let's take a look. There we go. A smile on your boy's face. Let's take a look at the good old options chain and see what we got cooking up. 240. 240. Yes, the options chain can always put a smile on your face for whatever reason that may be. 240. Oh my days. And there it is. There it is. So 240, this week's expiration cycle, 38,300 contracts at that specific strike price. We go up and down the chain. I'm not seeing anything substantially as high. Now let's pull up the actual underlying chart to see where the high of the day was. Can you guess? Yes, you guessed it right. It was
Get it, Joey.
It was 240.43. But when it works, right, Sharif? And not everything works all the time, but sometimes when you can correlate the two, the actual underlying asset with the actual display and the open interest, you can say, hey, well, that's a substantial call wall, and we're going to continue to sell. So there it is. We'll point this out, 240, and then sure enough, right here, we have 240 with 38,300. So a lot of short contracts. I would be looking for that to close south of 240 on the week. And let's jot that down. Let's note it. Excuse me, and see if that comes into fruition. So NVDA, we're going to take a look at this options chain to see what we got going on with that. Are we going to be able to continue to climb, or are there substantial call or put walls? So as I'm looking here, 175, we might run into some overhead resistance, but hey, you may get that magnet effect as well too on that, and you get the price attraction to that specific level, and then the market makers dump it and they sell shares against it to push price back lower down south of 175. So that is substantial. And I mean, when we were looking at their earnings report a couple weeks ago, we didn't even see that size. It was more or less at the 185 to 195 strikes, and it wasn't as substantial. It was in the 80s, 60s, 70s, whatever it may be. But then sure enough, after that, you're seeing price being held south of 175. Now, what's important is to get the overall market and see what we got cooking up on the Qs. At the money IV, relatively low, which is positive. So you're not going to be paying 16%. That's crazy. But that's on today's. So we don't want that necessarily. We want to go to, when does this say? We're going to go to the 12th. We're doing it live. We're going to the 12th there. And nothing substantial other than we have 35,200 at that 590 strike price. Where is the high on the Qs?
Where's it at?
I don't think it's there, to be honest with you. Oh, yeah. No, because I think this is max pain on the week, Sharif, considering, right, that's going to be the highest level of open interest on the call side for this week's expiration cycle. So that's going to be max pain 590. The high of the day is 580. So we're not going to know
where we're at, Joe?
Go ahead.
1, 2.
There you go. There you go. You were waiting for
Let's
that.
go, bro. We're 3 now. Let's go. Let's freaking go. We were 3 a second ago,
there
Joey. We're not long 39.10. We just printed 42.10 on this Octo business, so let's see if we can get continuing here. 45 generally has been the resistance level. Let's get up to 45. Here we go, Joseph options. 42 and a quarter. We're showing 43 and a third right now. 42 and a third, excuse me. Let's keep an eye out on this one. Looking for continuation here on Octo. Here comes 42 and a half. Seller at 49. Can't shake the 49 seller. Zigging and zagging. Can we get continuation? OCTO. It's back in business, but there is a seller at the $0.50 that we got to shake. Can't shake him. So we're selling into the $0.50, in the 30s, in the 40s. We're not passing the 50s, though, so keep your eye on this one as it drops back down and drops below that $42 area for the first time in a little bit. Do we get, that move up into 45? That's kind of what I'm waiting for there. I don't want to wet the beak a little bit early. Let's see if we can take it out into that $45 area. This is the resistance level that I'm seeing. We did wick into 43 and a quarter super quick, but it didn't really have any continuation. Here's 42 again, moving into the $0.50 again. There's a seller at the $0.50 there, and he just got decimated. Absolutely. We're going to take it out there, Joey, into the top. Very happy with this trade. Made some money back.
All it takes is one trade.
Oh, my goodness.
One trade, brother.
All right, there we go, Joseph options. Now you know what I'm going to complain about?
Not enough shares.
Hey, that's my guy. What kind of a friend would he be if he didn't know that was going to complain about something?
Exactly. No, but it looked good, bro. You got $3 on that one. Take a chunk out of the losses. And we talk about it, like when we try to make our winning trades bigger than our losers, it's not always the case, right? You're going to have some of them just slip away, and the opportunities aren't going to arise. Because you guys know, for me personally, when I'm in something, it's like, okay, yeah, take a couple of losses, and then when I finally get a trade to work out for me, I'm trying to push, but it's not always the case, right? You can't always do that as much as you would like to. It's just not the reality of what we got going on with trading. Now, what was I going to do? Strategy builder. I want to take actually a look at the Qs daily to see what we got going. Oh, okay, actually, no, wait, never mind all that noise. I'm going to add here. I'm going to add just because, why not? I'm feeling it's like Rich Homie Quan today, all right? So there it is. So bang, we're involved in that. We just put in full size right there to see if we can get a retest of that high. We're out at 33 is the south of that. If the thesis doesn't work, then we're probably going to get stopped out, reassess the situation, and then look to get involved into it one more time. Los Polios, I think that liquidity grab on NVDA might be complete, right? Like, so you have the volume there, south of VWAP, holding some levels. So whoever had their stop losses in this specific realm, sure enough, got lip grabbed, and then now we're starting to slowly grind higher. So yeah, I mean, if the space is going to be super strong today, I think we have plenty of room to run, and most definitely going to retest this high at 33.20s there on ETHA. Probably will be more of a grind, right? Like we're out of the momentum phase of the session. It is almost noon. Things are starting to cool off. The boys at Wall Street they feel like they've grabbed enough liquidity, absorbed enough stop orders, and they're like, all right, let's go to a nice pizza place for some lunch or something like that. So there it is, 1 minute print on NVDA, looking really, really good there, right around some key support levels as well. So Gorev, Los Polios, whoever it may be, if you had the ability to grab this, sure enough, you've got 50 cents in your pocket. But if not, you can't catch them all, right? So that's what we got cooking up. One more thing on the options chain before we send it back to my. Oh yeah, this is what I want to do. Sorry, I got sidetracked. My brain's like all over the place. So is this? Did anybody answer my question on the risk reversals here? GV Joe Options, talk to us. Let's go. Oh, Zinc, yeah. I'm only playing credit spreads, says Jason Colony. Okay, that's cool. Let me know a little bit more on what specific spreads you're trading. I'm really intrigued on what you guys have got cooking up. I was looking at some. Oh, I had one more name. I'm going to show you guys one more momentarily. So yeah, so credit spreads. It looks like no directional options trades for me. I'm okay. Jason Colony, directionally blind. Fair enough. So nothing directional. I like it. So more or less, you're a condor type guy. You like selling credit, so you don't necessarily need a specific direction in order to become profitable. Fair enough. I'm curious on your risk measures as well on that one, Jason Coigny. I'm very, very much intrigued with that. Now, this is what CrowdStrike here. Speaking of credit, oh, there it goes. My days. All right, so here it is. So I was going to pull up CrowdStrike. Why? Gorev, Los Polios, my guy Mike P. DeRider, all my BPA traders in here. This is what I was looking at. Like, you take a hefty pullback on CrowdStrike, 22%, that's bear market territory. I was looking to sell some premium on this thing right around the lows. So I was looking at like the 390, 385 bull put spread just to collect some premium. I could care less if it went up, down, as long as it didn't close south of that 390 strike price. And let's take a look how much we were going to collect on that specific setup. So we're going to pop up, we're going to open up our strategy builder here. We're going to get this going. We'll go verticals, and then we're going to pull up my guy Crowd, and see what the actual premium is on that now. You were collecting a bit, but again, didn't have any market data, so it's a little bit harder to determine exactly what you're going to receive on that. Oh, no, and that, an expiration cycle was 25 days, so we're going a little bit later because for all the veteran credit spread traders, as you get closer to expiration, gamma starts to accelerate, and sure enough, theta as well too, but you're selling credit, so you want that to specifically come into your favor. Oops. Now, where did you go?
Embarrassing.
It's so super embarrassing, but that's okay, Sharif. We figure it out.
There you go.
Where did you go, my friend? Okay, so there it is.
You asked nicely, that's why it showed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what when you do ask nicely, things tend to work out sometimes for you. But if you don't ask nicely, then they're like, yeah, get out of here. We're gonna embarrass you. So here's the profile on this one, on something that I was specifically looking at. Can I drag this over here? No, I cannot. Great stuff. Love how user-friendly this is. There it is. Profile on this specific spread. So what happens is like, okay, so your max return, it's not good, right? So if you looked at your risk to reward, it's absolutely horrendous. right? But you also want to keep an eye on your probability of profit. And for me personally, it's like, okay, always keep an eye on your strike prices, right? Use your delta metric to implement, hey, give yourself a nice probability of profit. And there it is. So it's like, okay, Joe, why would I risk $400? Why would I risk $400 to make $50?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't make much sense, does it? Right? But if I were to tell you, Sharif, you have an 85% chance that it's going to work out. But you're not going to lose your 400. You can obviously put a stop loss in.
Okay.
Would you take that trade? So I say, let me put it to you this way. If you were risking $150 to make $50, but your probability was 85% of that trade working out, are you taking it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
So the probability is in your favor, and that's what we look for, and that's when we use our delta metric as well too. So for me personally, that was a trade that I was looking at. I believe it now has gone. That ship has sailed, but there's going to be plenty of more opportunities to take advantage of. And if you're looking to put on these styles of trades, use your delta, and it can help put probability in your favor. But now, go ahead.
We got to cover this first. Octo's breaking out, Joey.
Oh,
here we go. Yeah, we're flying here. Shout out to my man Buvin. I've been going back and forth with Buvin in the chat. My bias was 45. There's been a wall of selling. Buvin feels 47. I'm more inclined to agree with Buvin here as opposed to my earlier assessment, because it does feel like 47 is where the wicks were rejecting. The closing prints, on the other hand, more like the mid-40s. This thing's over 3,000% now. It's breaking out. The volume is coming back here on Octo. Watch out for that 47 break and take, and then as quickly as this thing breaks above 47, as quickly as you will find it at 50. That is just the nature of these ones. Here comes 48. We're above 47 right now. It's all gas, no brakes right now on Octo, but for goodness sakes, trade it carefully, guys. I don't want to be the reason anybody gets blown out. Yes, that is real, Joseph. It is over 3,000%. That is not a typo. That is not P8 hallucinating. This ain't ChatGPT, baby. This is all the way up. Dun-na, dun-na. Here it goes, 48, Joseph. Here comes 49. It is Octo's world. We're all just living in it, but we're going to pause for a second, hear what Adara has to say for happening now.
Market is pretty choppy here. We didn't get a ton of economic data today. We weren't expecting any, though. Again, at 3 p.m., we will be getting the consumer credit change for July. $10.2 billion is the forecast. Previous $7.37 billion. We did get the New York Fed inflation expectations coming out. Nothing really of note there, though, again, we are seeing continued caution. We also had JP Morgan here coming out around 11:20 a.m. The headline was on the screen when it happened, warning that if and when we do get that very highly anticipated rate cut in September, it's likely the market will pull back when we get that number. So be aware, just because something seems like it'll be bullish doesn't mean it will be in the short term. Robinhood on watch, this name and AppLovin, both long-awaited additions to the S&P 500, and they will finally be joining the index as of September 22nd, Monday, 2 weeks from now. Robinhood also on watch. In addition to Apple, Robinhood has an event tomorrow as well. Definitely check that out. I'll be providing coverage on all of that for you guys. And OCTO, we know Sharif's been watching this one. Octo, great move here to the upside. And this name announcing a $250 million private placement and additional $20 million strategic investment from Bitmine in order to start a WorldCoin treasury strategy. Dan Ives has also joined as chairman of the board. Over to Neil. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to listen to Neil and his lesson of the day. Back to you.
Before we get to the lesson of the day, Octo just halted at $54.42 because, of course, it did. Almost another high of the day. 3,700 and whatever percent to the upside. So the lesson of the day is buy this stock. No, no, that's not the lesson. But, I mean, why not? If you just bought that stock, you'd be absolutely laughing. But what the... Can't even get over this thing. The lesson of the day sometimes can be, whatever. Sometimes it's something I traded. Sometimes it's something I haven't traded but was looking over. And I think were missed opportunities that we should sink our teeth into. Remember Broadcom? The biggest name on Friday, one of the biggest companies in the world, gapped up on earnings, then spent the entirety of the day selling off. Well, continuation comes in two ways. You can say, well, continuation could be, well, it sold off all of the day, most of the day, I should say, on Friday. But continuation can also come from the fact that it was a long and it broke out on the daily chart. And going into today, You were sitting pretty cleanly at Friday afternoon's resistance. And the key thing about this, when you're looking at it from a continuation standpoint, did it make two things? Did it make a distinct low? Answer, yes. It respected that low from the pre-market to the dip into lunchtime, right into the close. Does it have an obvious level with which to look for a breakout if you're not going to get along off that low? Yeah, it did, right here at 341. And then what happened right off of the open? An opportunity to just go into a continuation long. And this isn't even the one that I think was a missed opportunity so much as Lululemon, because that's the other side of the proverbial coin. This was a gap down that, like Broadcom, kind of went the other way. It went up at the open. Well, did it make a distinct level at the end of the day on Friday? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to use a 3-minute chart because this will be a little bit easier to see. You had an obvious level at VWAP, 1, 2, 3 times it rejected about just under $170. Now this is where the low-hanging fruit comes in. This was down 20% at one point on Friday. Triple topped in the afternoon. And then if you look at the open, what's the first thing it did? It tried to break out and failed that same high. And even better, even if you didn't have that trade, it simply was a break of the support as well. 167 clean. The thing about earnings season, I know earnings season is coming up to a little bit of an end here, but the thing about earnings season is it's not just these great day one plays where you get big time runners and reversions. These day two plays, if a level is set up very distinctly, can be so gorgeous, because you don't have to worry about where you're interested in transacting. You just have to wait for it to test that level, show you rejection. If you're really fast, you're going to be able to get short there. If you're not fast, then you're simply taking the breakdown underneath, and you get follow through. And look at this. Even as it comes back up, it's consolidating right underneath that prior high. When you have new price discovery, which is what happens during earnings season, buyers and sellers are forced to reveal themselves. And when they're forced to reveal themselves, you get to find good levels to transact. That's what we were talking about on Friday for the lesson. Make sure you're transacting at the right areas and the right prices. Right or wrong, as long as you're transacting at the right price, you're giving yourself the best chance. And no better time than day two after earnings to be able to find those spots. Now, do I forgive everybody for maybe missing out on some trades at 9:30. I know I missed out on a couple of my favorite trades at 9:30 because I was trying to get into OCTO on that first up halt. It's fair. It's fair. That stock is insane, and you wanted to try to get into it early. That said, low-hanging fruit in earnings season, when you can find that day two level, that day two play. Lulu gave you an example. Broadcom also had a pretty decent one as well. But when the earnings season starts back up again, these are the types of patterns you want to sink your teeth back into. And before I send you back to the boys, I will mention the tap is currently $58 on OCTO. So that would take it through the high of the day. Were it to open up at 58, it would be opening at another fresh high. The stock is absurd. Been a while since we've seen something quite like this. Go get them, boys.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. And here we are. Joseph, it is 12:07 and change. This one halted 12:02:51. So let's have a look at the clock. It is currently 12:07:49. The earlier, there it is. We're open and is a new high day, 61.85. Be careful, guys. Look for the filling of the gap. The gap is into 55s, but it feels like this one wants to take 60 at the moment. 59 and change, 57 now. Dropping aggressively, it filled the gap. Is this a buy here, or do we revert back down into 47s? The selling is all aggressive right now into 53, looking to gain some support at 53. There was a buyer at 53. Now we're into 54s. It feels like that level is giving way. Joseph down into 51 and change. 50 now, dropping aggressively back into 51s, 52s. This is not a level that I had identified, nor am I identifying any areas of support and resistance other than the $50 psychological support. It spent all of 7 seconds there at the $50-ish before it rocketed back up into 52s. Does it break above the previous halt level, though, which is 55.42? If it can clear that level, then you feel maybe the shorts may be caught offside here, despite the fact that the high of the day is 61.85. But what I'm looking there at the side chart is a bunch of lower highs on the 5-second. So even on the 5-second chart, this one has given up the ghost back into 50. It goes, there it goes, Joseph, below 50 into 47s, breaking down aggressively after that 61.85. And that's what I'm always trying to say, guys, are around for a good time, not a long time. Now, let's see, does that buyer above in step in at 47 to 45? This is a previous area of resistance. At least that's the way I've identified it. Does it now step in and start finding support to the high side? We're popping back up into 51.25. We've still got lower lows and lower highs on each successive crest and trough on the 5-second. So we're not at a clear yet. We would have a higher high if we initially rejected 52.5. If we drop back down, say to 50, whatever else, and then clear 52.5, then that would be another local area high, and then, you know, possibly go long at that level. Let's keep an eye out on this one. Here it comes again, trying to break through 51.5. 52.5, excuse me. Here we go, 51 2/3, 51.75, Joseph, selling into 52.5, and here we are, 52 1/3. Do we clear that level? No, still the same seller coming in, despite the fact that we have higher lows this time around. Let's see if we can kind of continue. Now we're above it, 52.5 above it. Let's see if we can get in here, Joey. Take over, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Whoever said call your mom now and tell her the house is gone, that's funny. That stuff kind of cracks me up. Obviously, it's not a good time for those individuals whoever short that. But I mean, I said this to Sharif this morning. I think this is making a lot of millionaires today, considering. So yeah, it's a big time cash. 4,000% is insane. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Again, I'm not in the world of small cap, so a little bit harder for me to identify. Bang, you get it? You back in it?
We're in. All right, we're almost $1 in the money. Here we go. We're over $1 now, Joey options, so we're going to take it out there. Boom. Nice. All right, finally positive on this piece of crap. So happy with that trade. Not the best. Let's get set up again. We just took $2, quick as you like, on Octo, but that's bupkis. Let's just be real about it. Let's speak real here. This thing's giving you $10 at a time, so $2 ain't you know what, all right? So let's keep an eye out on this. Seller at 55. There's been selling at 55, Joseph options. Let's see if this one can clear 55, make its way back to 60. It's still well above the 10 exponential, well above VWAP, and most notably, I don't know how you feel about this, Bhavin Patel, but I love this retest of the 47 area, the exact level, Bhavin, that you said we needed to get above in order to clear it as a long, and that's exactly where we tested as support level, so builds on your thesis that was the resistance level. Shout out to the OG Bhavin in the chat. Keeping my eye on this one, Joseph options, looking for a move above 55 and into 60 again. Yeah,
nice trade there, man. This thing's going crazy. Here you can see it. So some nice stuff. So Sharif was covering this there, so we won't stay on it too long. 61.74. That's insane. Holding up pretty good here on ETHA. I would like to grab some more, but we'll be patient to see if we're going to continue the move to the downside, considering there's a head and shoulders form price action being formed on IBIT, but there it is, right? So NVDA also forming that price compression, breaking out. Is this going to be the attempt where we can sit on the backside of this trend? Maybe, possibly, but we also want to see the volume really start to pick up there as well. So what else are you guys looking at? Give me a couple names, we'll go over them. We did some options chain stuff. There's nothing in particular that I want to specifically look at right now on the chain that I can say. But we can't pull up the SPY because some people are saying, why is SPY dumping? Why is SPY dumping? I haven't been keeping my eyes on it. Okay, there we go. Thank you for that. What is SPY up to? And we're going to go through some of the heavier weighted sector ETFs. So SPY is a little bit more weak, maybe, but I guess it was strong, right? So it was a little bit stronger than what the Nasdaq was in the earlier hours of the session. So you get that big pump up there and that move back down towards the volume weighted average price. But what is XLF up to? Ooh, this was Friday session. I was keeping my eye on this, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bad time, considering that a lot of individuals are extremely bullish on the financial sector. Tom Lee saying that JPM can go back into being a growth stock, which is absolutely insane. Crazy. Considering that they're going to look to move everything over to the blockchain. XLE, what is that up to?
We got to get into that. Just to
yeah. What you're
we're going to get into that on the news, guys. Apparently, the government's not very happy that everything is going to get tokenized, Joey. So
yeah, well,
talk about that.
Hey, man.
The governments want their cut.
Yeah, exactly. Of course they do, right? What happens? What happens, right? So, but I mean, they got to look at it from an aspect, Sharif, like maybe increase margins, more tax, more transactions. You're going to get your money one way or the other. So just get your hands out of all of our pockets for the now.
Oh, that's my man, bro. I want the government's hand out of my pocket once and for good, baby.
Yeah, that's
my guy.
Unfortunately, that will never be the case. But if they can step out of it a little bit, that'd be fantastic. But I don't think that's going to be the case anyway. They always want more fiscal policy. Okay, so I'm going to hop out of this Ethereum trade as it's looking like it's going to break down, and I think I'm going to get involved in some NVDA via NVDL because this potential breakup, if the market wants to participate, I think will be okay. Robinhood is right back up to 116, and if we go to the daily on this name, I looked at it, I'm like, yes, finally added to the S, and sure enough, you're only a couple points off of that previous all-time high. You get this massive gap up. A lot of indecision prints along those lines, but here it is, guys. Some good stuff there in Robinhood. I wouldn't be surprised come tomorrow morning or even in the later hours of the session that you get that gap up and it establishes a new all-time high. And it's funny, I was like, do I rotate a little bit out of Robinhood and grab some more things? Maybe, possibly. We'll figure that out. We got to write plans down and then look to execute them on that front. But yeah, NVDA, I'm going to get involved in this name right here. Sharif, are you still cooking up over there?
No, man, but we're going to break 55. Joseph, I'm watching intently. Here we go again. Shout out to the OG Bovin. And you know what? I want to call this out. I don't really call out his wins. But he's $50 in the freaking money. The dude's long $5, okay? Shout out to the OG Bovin. What a fantastic trade there, Bovin.
$5?
He's long at $5. Yeah. And he's been telling me about this since it was like way back when. So shout out to my man Bovin in the chat. We're going to keep an eye out on this one. It seems like there is some local selling here at 54, at 55. One trade I completely forgot to mention, which was actually going quite good, 890 on PL. We wet the beak all the way up into 8s there, 908s, but it's coming back down into my entry again, which is basically the same level I got in. So I'm going to pack my patience, leave that one, let that cook, and then I'll try to focus my attention on Octo. Here comes that 55. There goes 55. This thing's all sorts of strong now as we try to work back into that 60 area. Good strength on this one. Pack your patience for this trade. Look for that big move up. Wow, Joseph, right in the money, $1 in the money immediately as we punch in 55.75. Just took it out 56.75. Let's see if this one's got 57 in its future. Here we go, 56.5, 56 3/4. Now we're setting up at 57 1/4. Let's see if we can get through that selling into the $0.50 here at around 56. So good strength here on Octo. Looking for continuation, but there does seem to be some selling into that $56 area. Oh my goodness, here comes 57. Boom! Joseph Wilson! All right, baby.
It's pretty. It's so pretty.
$3 in the money, bro. We're still holding this. Get out. We're flattening that out. Boom! All right, it ain't a $50 winner, but it's okay. I don't know. I think we've cumulatively taken maybe $6 or $7 on this one through all the ins and outs. So topped out there, didn't stop out, took it out at 58 1/4. So good continuation on this one. Definitely looking for more. We're 4,000% or thereabouts, almost 3,800.5%. And here comes 58 again. Joseph, this one has got it all. Boom. All right, yeah. Davol, you're not wrong, brother. It could easily move that after hours. Tell everyone, though, why, Davol. I think I'm saying your name right. No volatility halt parameter in the after hours or in the pre-market. That's why everyone loves these in the after hours or the pre-market, myself included. Here we go. We're clearing 58, baby. Looks like I'm going to take out 59%. Hopefully, we'll see. The only 4,000% winner this year, Joseph?
Ooh, only, yeah. Beta Pro by Global X is bringing back its annual biggest winner simulated ETF trading competition. All right, now we're talking. Now with over $40,000 in cash prizes, including a $20,000 grand prize, all risk-free. It's free to enter and open to all Canadians. trade with $100,000 in fantasy cash on the Webull platform. Whether you're an experienced trader or just getting started, it's a chance to test strategies, build skill, and climb the leaderboard. So you think you have what it takes to be the next biggest winner? Sign up today at betapro.ca, guys. Good stuff there. Wow, that's some fun stuff. Get involved in that, man. I know a lot of the guys around here were doing that. And I mean, to trade paper money and then you could potentially win real money, I think that's a pretty good handoff in my trade-off, in my opinion there, Sharif. But Octo, enough of that. Let's get into some interesting stuff. There it is, man. What a monstrous move that we're experiencing. What's the short float on this thing is my number one.
Octo?
But yeah.
Probably 0 now, bro. Everyone's been stopped out. Everyone's been forced out.
Everyone's been liquidated. Yeah, I guess so.
No, and the Katina man said it this morning. He was very clear. I think, and he doesn't trade small caps often, but he's got incredible market wisdom. And he's like, this is a dangerous short. And, I don't pretend like this strategy that I'm employing is my own. And the person off which I learned says the exact same thing. Yes, you have fantastic possible returns shorting these ones at the highs. But you can also get blown out to no end.
I mean, but see, the thing is, though, Sharif, I agree with you on that front, because what if you look at it and you're like, oh, the stock's up 1,000%. Well, it goes another 3,000% after that. Even so, if it's like, okay, the stock's at, it's up 2,000%, it has to fade. Goes up another 2,000%. That's insane.
It's another high of the day, Joseph.
Yeah. So there it is. Now you're up over 4,000%. There's $60. Buvin, my friend. If you're not pulling up in a Lambo or anything in the coming days, if you're not posting or tagging Sharif,
then you weren't long at 5. I need to see a Lambo in order to know that you were long at 5.
You know what I mean? And just like go to the bank, because I know in America you could probably get as much cash as you would like. Unlike here, take it out, send us a pic, and be like, yeah, this is exactly what I did on this Octo stock, which is absolutely insane. $100, I think, is 100% in the works for this thing, considering you're trading at $63. $64 now, and if it wants to continue to squeeze, you're going to be up. You're up way over 4,000% already on the intraday session. So that's some fantastic stuff. And again, short it at your own risk. Me personally, I would just eliminate that thought from your brain and just look to go to the top side, because now it's at $70.
Bro,
I don't even know.
68.83, Joseph. It's gonna go 5,000. It's gonna go 5,000. 69.49. You can stop here. You can stop here. 70.82, bro. 4,750%. Sorry, and now people are just getting squeezed to no end. A lot of people are in trouble here. Oh, for goodness'
What is the largest
bro?
gainer you've ever seen?
This is it.
This is it.
I
right
think
here?
so. Neil,
I've never seen
was
anything.
Kodak above this back in 2020? I know Kodak had an outsized 4-digit day. There was HKD as well back in 2022. Go ahead, Adara.
In fall of 2023.
Say that again.
TPST, I believe, almost hit 5 digits, but I'm not sure. That was in, would have been September, October of 23.
Of what?
2023, September, 2023. October, TPST.
5 digits?
Yeah, well, I believe that. Adara's got an eidetic memory. I can get behind that.
I'm not discrediting what she has to say, but 5 digits is insane. It's like just in one day. In one day, you're done. If you were in that, obviously we're speaking hypothetically, because at the end of the day, it is wishful thinking, because it's like, it's so hard to catch that. I didn't even know of this ticker until these guys started screaming about it this morning.
Well, this one was very obvious from the get-go, Joseph, because as soon as I sat down in the morning, Neil was like, OCTO, it was knocking on the door of 1,000%. It was like 700 something. So you knew if this one continued after the bell, it would be the first quadruple digit winner. And oh baby, did this one not disappoint, Joseph? It is a 71.27 high of day assassino. Have you seen anything as good as this? I mean, rhetorical, obviously. And here comes $70 again as we zig and zag with 69. But I don't really care how annoying I sound. Please trade this carefully, okay? You see the way it moves up. it has the propensity to move equally as aggressively to the downside, and all of a sudden you're caught in a 10-minute halt, and then the tap is like $10 below the halt level, which is already $10 below your entry. Who needs that kind of crap, right?
Bro, who cares how annoying you sound?
Yeah,
Imagine
I'm
someone
just gonna keep saying it. I don't care.
No, seriously, keep saying it throughout the duration of us trading it through the day, because people who are just tuning in or who haven't been listening look at this thing and it's like, oh,
Well,
hey,
exactly.
yeah, guess what? I want to short it. Well, yeah, good. I don't think that's the best idea to short a stock that's up 4,500% on a day. Like, for me, if you're thinking short, just put it somewhere else. Just don't even look at it, because that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I get it. Like, people look at this and they're like, yo, this mean reversion is going to be insane. And they're probably right. Just, can you catch it, or can you hold on long enough? If you've got a cash account and you're not taking any margin, you can keep DCAing until you don't have any more money left. That's entirely possible. Or if you're on a margin account, you're just going to get, your position is going to get liquidated immediately, and you have no control over that, obviously, because the exchange does it. So that's really what I wanted to say there, guys. You know, just because I'm trading them, it doesn't mean they're good investments either. Joey, tell them what's up.
Yeah, what's going on? Every trader knows that if you want to grow, you have to risk more. At least that's how it used to be. Trade the Pool is changing that. It's the new revolution in stock trading. You don't need a large deposit. Trade the Pool is built for any trader who wants to grow without putting everything on the line. Just a small skin in the game, and you're trading with real capital. Here's how it works. You pay a one-time evaluation fee starting at just $47. That's your total risk. From there, you trade real shares, no CFDs, using company capital. Head to tradethepool.com or scan the QR code on the screen there, folks. So go check that one out there. Yeah, like that. I'm not even gonna speak about that. Just don't blow up your account is all I'm gonna say. It's continuing to climb. I'm not gonna be surprised if it punches through the high of the day here. Octo just going absolutely nuts. We're involved in some Bitcoin. You can see that. I like the crypto space on today. Nice hammer at the volume weighted average price, so we're getting involved there once again. We had a trade on Ethereum that worked out for us. We went 0 for 2 on Apple, but yeah, there we go. Now we're long some Bitcoin, and we're starting to climb higher. Surprised that it didn't break through this, but the trajectory that this thing is on, I wouldn't be surprised if it does momentarily. This is I've never seen anything personally like this. 4,500%.
It's beautiful, bro.
It is absolutely insane. That's just on the day. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Apparently, your friend RC only made 30K on this.
Only, eh?
Only, eh?
Yeah, it's
a light day for him.
Yeah, too bad, man. It's such a shame that he only made 30K. Unfortunately, but hey, it is what it is.
This guy's speaking fluent sarcasm now. I love that. I love that.
I mean, it's part of my language as well too. But hey, man, that sucks when you only make 30K a day and you can make substantially more. Just like I'm gonna make that on IBIT right here. Obviously, there's a sarcasm kicking in. 5-minute hammer right at the volume weighted average price. Gorev, Los Polios, Mike P. DeRider, David, Pug Life, my guy, ADL, O Zinc. That's my guy, and no sense. These are the hammers that we're looking for, Shree.
Yes, all right. All right, Joey, the deal is we didn't add, we tried. I tried to add into PL. When it came into my technical area of support, I'm talking about that mid 70s. I should have been waiting in the mid 80s, mid to low 80s, because this one tested the 20, and here we go. I want to see if this one wants to break out above 9. But Amir, I'm so sorry, brother. You've been asking for a hot minute for me to look at our, I'm sorry, brother, but I just really had to focus on Octo. But here's how I feel, Amir. This is our, I initially had our up on the side charts to start the show, and then I took it off because it was doing bupkis, Amir. It was a little bit below VWAP, a little bit above. This thing doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be a trender? Does it want to be a ranger? Does it want to be a bamboozler? It has no identity. And here's what I see, though. Sorry, SSC. I know I was exaggerating for effect there. $6 seems to be that area of local resistance. You really can't print anything above $6 saving except for one measly candle on the 5-minute at 10.10. And then all the way back down it goes. Now, it does have a buyer below that $6 area. It's around 5, I want to say mid-teens. At the low end, it looks like 5.10. But, the money fills to make sure you get printed, I would say 5 1/4, 5 1/5. Okay? That's where you pick it up on either a range trade or the bottom end of the range for a breakout trade above 6. Now, is there anything that we can see here that would lead us to believe that this is going to break out from its range? Oh my God, Octo's breaking out again above $74, Joseph. I can't even concentrate on hour because this thing's moving dollars at a time. Unbelievable. But here's what I mean, Amir. Pick it up in the low fives. Look for a move above 6 on a volume spike or a liquidity move because it really is trading like a range stock. I mean, it's up 53%. Fantastic. When you look at it on a wider time frame, there's the 5-minute and multi-day runner on hour and holding all the prior days area, which is fantastic from a swing trading investing perspective. But from an intraday trading perspective, you need to be picking this up at around 520 with a stop below 5. That would be my move. But it really is all about OCTO, Joseph Wilson. This thing is up 5,200%, 5,230%. The shorts are getting decimated.
There's
absolutely decimated. It's got to have like a 0.000001% short float. Run for your life. But there's going to be a point when this is all going to end. Let's just, tell everybody who is a newer trader that hasn't seen this whole experience before, this will end and it will reverse and it will be as ugly, if not uglier, or as aggressive. Maybe it's not ugly to you because you're a short bias trader and it's fantastic.
Show them the old IPOs there, Sharif. Going on.
Just show them Figma.
Yeah.
Show them Bull. Show them whatever else, bullish as well. Same nonsense.
Keep an eye out
so it is, Katina, man. You need to load up Octo and look right now, Katina. It's insane, Katina, man. 78.95. We're up 5,250 freaking percent. We're gonna keep covering this, and maybe you will even execute on it. But it's just getting so extended. I don't have a good read here other than to just follow trend on the 5-second. Now I saw Neil astutely point out in the chat that this Octo was respecting the 50 moving average on the 5-second chart, and more accurate he could not be. Let's take a gander. That red line on your chart, that is the 50 EMA, and this is the 5-second chart. It basically reclaimed at 10:45 and has not lost that red line at any point, Joseph Options, since, you're not going to believe this, bro, since 12:10, 20 minutes. This very, very volatile name has been respecting this red line right there. Look at that pullback right off the 50, pull back into the 50, pull back and hold into the 50. And here we go again. We're coming back into the 50, which on my 5-second chart is at 74.5. But this thing has other ideas. It wants to take out the high into 78.95. Let's keep an eye out on this one. Look for another high day break. Shout out to Octo. Joseph.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I figured you. It's going to $100. I mean, what is it? What is the percentage now? 5,000. Yeah. Crazy.
79.80. Here comes 80, Joey. There goes 80, Joey. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's going to $100. It's going there, right? Johnny Bravo, how'd you get in at 4? Okay, so I understand that you woke up at 4 a.m. and you got into Octo at 4:45.
Crazy.
How did you know about it that early? Is what my question is, like, how did you just know? It's like wake up.
Scanner, Joey.
Scanner,
baby.
I guess early in the morning, you
4 a.m., Joey, they start populating
You're going to 4 a.m. But I mean, okay, now I'm going to get real. I'm not going to go hypothetical. Let's see if there was any volume at 4 a.m. in the first place.
There probably was.
Yeah, there was.
There was, Joey.
Yeah, there definitely was. And it's like
these things will do volume in the pre-market because there's no halt levels.
Yeah.
All the degens love them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I want to zoom out though to see the liquidity. Yeah, okay, yeah, there it is. Yeah, so you're probably right off the bat, boom, you're starting with this there, scanner channels. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with you. I just wanted to know what made you wake up at 4 a.m. and decide, because at this point yesterday you didn't know anything about it, but then 4 a.m., bam, the scanner must have alerted you, and then sure enough, boom, 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 you're getting that move. But how did you even identify? Anyways, enough of that. I'm not going to continue. If you're in that, dude, congratulations to you. I'm sure you're having an absolute fantastic day, and I hope it continues to do so. Don't get too ridiculous. Let it ride. And if you look at this from a daily perspective, I wouldn't be surprised if you give up a little bit of the move and then it establishes a new high I was awake. Why didn't one of y'all? Yeah, exactly. So you guys didn't tell Ramin. So that's your fault. Otherwise, she would have been putting on monster numbers there.
She would have been here first person.
First thing, yeah. On everyone's computer, punching in as much as possible. Request for buying power right at 4 a.m. to see if calling down Neil's phone to see if he can get that that increase there. But yeah, Octo, pretty good. There goes the market though. You can see that NVDA couldn't sustain that breakout. Boom, sure enough, you get that breakdown, inability to hold the top end of that channel and that compression pattern, so you don't hold the breakout, and then now you're heading back in towards VWAP, and TQ south of it, SPY south of it. Hood still holding up around 116.33. Katina Man was in that prime time from 110, 109. I seen him, something along those lines. So big time move there. So nice work, my friend. And then here we are in IBIT, continuously working. So crypto space, I mentioned that earlier. I like what's going on here. Potential break of some downtrends, and then maybe we can get a little bit of a bouncing continuation in strength and head towards some of the previous highs. Are we going to establish a new one? Maybe, possibly, but you got to take one step at a time. Got to walk before you can run. Let's go IBIT.
All right, guys, I'm just continuing to watch here. It's zigging and zagging with 80, a little above 80, a little bit below. It's got a high of 83.12. This current candle is green with a higher low and a higher high on the 5, but it is currently a candle of indecision as it has a very small body. So ending up like a doji candle, which is basically signifying a momentary equilibrium between buyers and sellers. Doesn't mean it closes that way, doesn't mean it stays that way. It just means that's what the current state of affairs is. So how we end up trading this, or we don't trade it at all. What I'm watching right now is for a hold of the 50 EMA on the 5. As I said earlier, as Neil astutely pointed out in the chat, this thing has been holding the 50 moving average on the 5-second chart says basically about 25 minutes, and it held it again. And here we go. We're still putting, what a move. Joe, it went from $80 to 76 in 1 second. Not 5, 1. That is madness. And for the first time in, I want to say about half an hour, maybe a little bit less, this one did lose the 50 EMA on the 5. Now let's see, can it reclaim it, or is it going to use it as resistance now? We've made this observation multiple times. Wow, Joseph, it popped up back in the 80s, but is this going to get everybody lured in? It's wide. It varies, 30 pennies, 40 pennies. Yeah.
How many shares has it traded?
This one, let's have a look, brother. 151 million. Right. So it did lose the 50 EMA for a very split second, popped up into 80, found that same resistance that we were encountering at 80s, and then zigging and zagging now. But if you're looking here locally at the trend, we're still putting in lower highs off that 83.12. Again, it doesn't mean it stays that way, but just be on the lookout for those subtle signals, right? It moves so quickly and so volatile, and it's doing so many shares, and let's just be honest about it. The emotions really start kicking in when you have something as volatile as this. So try to identify local areas of support and resistance and overall trend. We're still rejecting this upper trend line right now on the 5. Can we get above it and stay above it? No, it seems like it is putting in lower highs, Joseph. So whatever algo or trader is executing on this right now, they are kind of looking at the same thing we're looking at right now, that lower high. And here we go again. Let's see if we lose 76. That's the prior area low, 76 on the dot. Now we're dropping back down into 77.5. Now we're no longer respecting the 50 moving average on the 5-second chart. It is now a line of best fit, meaning that it fits best between the price action from the high side to the low side. So be on the lookout for that, and do not use it if it's not showing you itself as an area of support or resistance, right? Just a line there, and we have to make the assessment as to whether or not it should be used at any one moment. Healing pain naturally. Joseph, Sharif, look at RAPP and the setup there for a breakout. I think I did have this on my side chart momentarily earlier. Let's load that bad boy back up. In fact, I do. It's trading 116%. Let's put RAPP, RAPP, Joseph options. Let's see what we got over here. Yeah, brother, look, it's still a good percentage winner on the day in the sense that it's still up 116%. But I have 2 rules for these small cap gappers. They got to be above the pre-market high, and they got to be above VWAP. This one fails both. The pre-market high is right there at 8:40 a.m. We weaseled on up to 47 and change. And then the volume weighted average price is $35. And this one's trading at $30.91. So this doesn't work in either event for me. It's still very good on the day and could be good tomorrow. I'm just speaking about intraday. Intraday right now, it doesn't meet my qualifications for a setup, but I do want to point out that, Joey, this one started moving in the aftermarket on Friday, right around 4:05. So it had a move. It had a decent move. It closed out at 14.36, and by the time all was said and done in the aftermarket on Friday, we had moved up almost $4 into 18.25. That obviously looks like a very small move relative to today's move up into 47 and change. That, again, is in the pre-market, though. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Healing Pain Naturally, for that. I saw you take a shot at Canada earlier. I didn't want to say anything, Healing Pain Naturally.
Healing
yeah, he took a shot at Canada.
See, the thing is, though, with Healing Pain, he lives in Canada.
Does he actually?
Yeah. It's my
That's
guy.
crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy, man. But
Hold
he's
on,
not
why
Canadian.
Did he take shots at us?
But
Oh,
he's not Canadian.
He lives in Canada.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have the passport.
I don't know if he has the passport.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, my guy
That's okay.
resides over in the coast. I'm not going to say which one, but yeah, he gives a little job here and there at the old the Canuck boy. I can't say. I'm not going to really.
Let me guess.
Yeah,
the Arctic.
You got to bang. Exactly, man. We
got 3 coasts,
we
baby.
got everything, brother.
We got all the oceans.
We got
the Pacific.
Yep.
We got the Atlantic.
We got the Atlantic.
And now you got that Northwestern Passage, baby. We're going to cash out on that. Your boy Carbon Tax is going to take a whole bunch of money from there. You guys want to pass through the Arctic? Gonna have to
you're charging. Well, no, you got to check in with me first, and then you can, most definitely continue your.
We're having a good time, Billy.
We're having a good time, baby. So there it is, Bitcoin. We're all out of this one. Why? Because look at the volume step in here on this specific candle. As we break out, you see this massive engulfing print, but the volume wasn't supporting it. And then, sure enough, as soon as we start to head in the opposite direction, it's gone. And I was going to take it out here just because, but I'm like, yeah, you know what, Hopium, we'll get a little dose of that to see if we can continue its trajectory. But I do like what NVDA is up to around these lows. Right back into this price compression pattern. This bull flag has been going on for quite some time, and it's just a matter of if and when it's going to break, or you just continue to move eastward throughout the day, right? Okay. It's a complete direction, but there it is, boom, multiple tests, multiple ebbs and flows through that specific zone there, and sure enough, you're bouncing off that level one more time. So let's do it. Why not? Shout out to the individual in the chat whose name is Why Not. Okay, whoa, something big just happened here. So look at the tape. Look at the strength on the tape there, guys. So that's some positive stuff that we like. Great. Volume starting to kick in. So there it is. Bitcoin right back up north of the volume weighted average price. Do we take another stab at it, considering I want to see the volume start to increase a little bit more, and the same with the likes of NVDA. Now I want to see on my scanner if Octo is started to pop up. Ooh, TQ's there. Gorev, look at this there. Maybe we get a bounce in the TQs. I'm liking some of these signals. The more that you see across the board, the more conviction within the specific setup I personally like. So there it is. What was I just about to do? Volume. Stock scanner. Yeah, Octo is way up there, 174 million shares traded. And then the next closest one within that price range, right? Anything higher than $15 is going to be NVDA with 90 million shares traded on the session. I'm looking at IBIT now to see if I can get in. I don't see it, to be honest with you. Look at Ethereum go. It traded higher up 319, and then now there's no indecision prints right there. So a name in the same asset class or sector kind of is not displaying any forms of those prints. So there it is. Hold that level. Maybe you can get involved there. Look at the strength continuously pop in, guys. This is crazy, really. Hopefully you guys can keep your eyes on it. So when you see my screen, and then look at the, oh my days, look at this order stream. That is insane. And sure enough, you do get this massive pop. Like, it's continuously going. Wow, that's a lot of size that you're seeing displayed. But then it's obviously met with some hefty defense, which is with some star-studded defense. TQs is looking the best right now, though, in my opinion. Gorev, you can see that print right through some key support levels. Volume not necessarily there, but I do like that hammer candle. And the same thing with NVDA, Sharif.
All right, I want to show this Assassino. This is Bovin's screenshot of his trade on the day. He's in 150 shares at an average cost of $5.54. Yes, He's up 7,723 freaking dollars on the day. Shout out to my man Bovin. Absolute banger of a trade, brother. That is definitely one for the books there, and you definitely deserve your flowers for that, because it takes a whole bunch of guts to hold it that long when you're that much in the money. Shout out to you, my man. That's a hell of a trade, and you definitely deserve shouting out for that.
Is that Robinhood?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Like it, yeah.
Shout out to Robinhood getting into the S&P 500. I used to make fun of my brother-in-law for having a Robinhood account. Now who's laughing?
It's not so funny
right?
now, is it?
It's not so funny, is it now? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic trade, Bovin. Really proud of you. Really happy for you too, dude, because you're busting your chops every day in these small cap gappers, and more sympathetic to that kind of trade I could not be. So shout out to you, my man. Very happy for you. Go ahead, Joseph.
Don't spend it all in one place either. Like, and I'm obviously like a little sarcastic there. That's a fantastic day. It seems like you know what you're doing. You've been in this trap for a while. So I'm not going to sit here and preach, but for the individuals who are putting on those styles, just don't get too ahead of yourself, because just as quick as you made it, it can go significantly faster. Like, I mean, significantly faster. You can lose it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic state of affairs.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic state of affairs.
That's crazy.
What do you mean it's crazy? It's as sane as it gets, baby.
Rational.
Adara, you ready to do the news?
Hold on.
Go?
NVDL's working. Bang, we got that one. And then we're also in the TQs as well. I'm going to probably trim some of this NVDL, more or less a scalp. And that's not what I wanted to do. That's going to be TQs. So a nice look. Or should I even? If it's working, just continuously let it work. Nothing crazy on the size-wise. So yeah, let's rock and roll.
All right, we're just going to wait another minute or so, then we'll start the news. I just want to update you guys on the last position that I have. Happy that I didn't stop out of this one, but displeased that I was really close to getting the ad into PL, which is up about 38.5%. Looking to take out that high of the day at 910, showing me 04s right now. We're in at 90s, 890s, looking for that top break. But again, did not sadly get the ad at 77. Should have moved that up, but I was really more focused on Octo, so I couldn't properly manage this one in the way that I would want to. So we'll look to take out that high if it does take out the high. Otherwise, we'll just nurse the trade. Let me know when. We can go now, Assassino. 14 years, 0 hacks, 0 excuses. BTCC.com delivers what others don't. Trade Bitcoin up to 500x, even Tesla, gold, and Forex. With smart Kelpie trading, you don't just watch the pros, you trade like them. Regulated in the United States, Canada, and Europe, and trusted by 6.8 million traders. A Trader TV Live exclusive, baby. So scan that QR code or click the link in the description for a 15% deposit bonus. BTCC.com, where pros trade, and so now can you. So shout out to the great folks there. And with that, we will now start the news segment of the day. If I can just load up, there we go. So I got it, baby. All right, we're going to load this up, and we're going to start with the news story of the day, which of course is AppLovin and Robinhood being added to the S&P 500. Fantastic look for anybody who's holding these, and if you're going to trade them, keep an eye out on the ETF flows. So shares of AppLovin and Robinhood each jumped markedly in the pre-market session and in extended trading hours on Friday after the S&P Global announced both companies are joining the S&P 500 index. The change will take effect on the market open September 22nd. AppLovin, for their part, they're going to replace a company called Market Access Holding. Robinhood is going to replace Caesars Entertainment. So Caesars getting the boot out of the S&P 500. The index inclusions, which was kind of what I was saying in the beginning, typically trigger buying pressure as fund managers adjust their own portfolios to match the benchmark indexes like the S&P and the NQ100, the Russell 2000, the Dow, that sort of thing. So you're typically going to have a net inflow. We'll have to see if that happens all in one day. Here's kind of how these companies have been trading lately. AppLovin has been all sorts of strong over a multi-year period. Soared 278% in 2023. Another 700%, Joseph, in 2024. And this year, it's only up 51% year to date. Obviously very strong, but the growth is slowing a little bit, at least for AppLovin. Both companies IPO'd back in 2021 on the Nasdaq, and previous exclusions from the index rebalancing had basically sold or triggered some selling on Robinhood as well as AppLovin, but they're both being added on now. Just to give you an idea of what these firms do, Assassino, they operate ad tech software delivering targeted mobile ads, that's AppLovin, of course, and gaming monetization tools. I always talk about this. I always see a lot of the Unity and AppLovin ads on Duolingo, that hot garbage. And then Robinhood, their brokerage app, obviously catering to retail traders. Shout out to Bovin, who just sent us a screenshot of his account. And it offers commission-free stockbroking, crypto options trading, but they're also expanding their moat. They're trying to be like basically the retail JPM. So not a moment too soon, Joseph. They've been shafted the last couple of times. I'm talking about Robinhood, but they're in now.
Yeah, they're finally in. I mean, this name has been continuously growing for quite some time. They did receive the snub a couple of times, as Sharif mentioned, but now it's then there, and they're there, right? And you can see that reflected in some of the price. This is obviously AppLovin. So this name is another one that I think is pretty popular, right? So up 167%. And you're going to see some similarities within Robinhood, but we can just go down the line, right? Within their earnings report, it's like, okay, you get 100% increase in options activity. Margin accounts are increasing. You have the gold membership increasing as well too. So people paying fees on that front, and they're just looking to continuously grow. So they're starting to put the agentic platform within, obviously, Robinhood, and then also crypto transactions up hundreds of percent over the previous past couple quarters. You're having 167% growth. You're having 200%. At one point, it was like 700% growth in crypto transactions alone on Robinhood, which is absolutely substantial, and that can justify why, from those April lows, you go on a 288% run from $25 to roughly $116. So that's some phenomenal stuff. And I think that the space is going to continuously, maybe not at the pace that it's currently at, but it's going to continue to grow, especially, even though we're going to touch on it later, if the SEC does approve tokenization of equities, watch out for this name.
Absolutely. I just want to, before we go to Adara and hear her opinion on this whole thing, SNTG, shout out to Bovin again, breaking out to the high side. It is now halted at $6.53. It's up 223.25%. It's done a lot of volume, good volume, 16 million shares, $6.50 name. SNTG halted to the upside at 6.53. Adara, not a moment too soon that Robinhood gets added, but they're not alone. They're also an AppLovin, a name that you trade.
Well, I was going to say AppLovin, I actually think, is the one we've been waiting longer for. I know we started hearing about Robinhood earlier this year, but AppLovin, we've been waiting for it to be added to the index since last year. In fact, of course, this is on the XTTV research. We had this nice gap up when they were added to the Nasdaq 100, but then when they missed that S&P edition, they actually gapped down like 14%. That's going back to December, right? So AppLovin, I think, has maybe been anticipated for a bit longer, and this name, while it's performed well, has been incredibly volatile. Like, I have to talk about what we did over a 2-week period in February. We gapped new all-time highs on earnings, then we get a push lower on a short report, then it gets 2 short reports in one day and it gaps down, and has the only intraday halt I've ever seen on an over $300 ticker at the time. So this thing is really volatile. I do always urge caution when trading. But yeah, I think AppLovin is, honestly, in my opinion, that's kind of the one we were waiting for, this and Robinhood. But because we've been waiting for them for so long, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of expecting that they might sell off a bit. The fact that they're both still very much green on the day, though I think AppLovin's given up more of the move than Robinhood, that's a good sign. We'll have to see how this continues, because we know what Datadog did. Gaps up the first day and then withers the closer it gets to that edition.
We'll get more into the tokenization. I think you probably saw it there at the end. A bill making its way through the Senate, Adara. They're looking at kind of slowing down the tokenization of some of these equities, which may put, at least for the moment, the kibosh on one of their expansionary moats, which is the tokenization. So we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you, Adara, for pointing that out. Let's talk about Tesla. Market share, hitting 8-year lows. That's in the United States. We already saw the drop in most other jurisdictions. So Tesla's EV market share fell to 38% in August, its lowest level since October of 2017, according to Cox Automotive. This marks, Joey, the first time Tesla drops below 40% market share for the United States market, down sharply from its former dominance of 80%. That's a bad number to look at, but at no point in time was I ever of the opinion that they were going to grow their market share above 80%. You felt it was only going to be a lower high every time as other participants started coming in to the space. So We'll have to see how how low that number gets. But you got the legacy automakers like your Hyundai, Kia, Honda, Toyota. They're all boosting their EV sales between 60 and 120% just in the month of July by offering more attractive incentives. You also have the Volkswagen ID4, which was sponsoring the event at Liberty Grand, which I sat in a whole bunch of.
Oh yeah.
It's like a $125,000 car, which makes no sense to me. But anyway.
Hyundai?
Volkswagen ID4,
oh, yeah. Sorry.
This article says it's a direct Model Y competitor, which I disagree with entirely. It's far more expensive. But that, despite the fact of being expensive, saw its sales grow 450% month over month, helped by obviously some promotions. And I think they were offering fast free charging as well as 0% interest, which obviously is a needle mover for some consumers. Tesla, in contrast, saw their U.S. sales in August grow only 3.1%. But compare that to the industry growth in that month, which was 14. So growing at like 5 times or almost 5 times less than the average market growth there. So they've also been forced to cut some of the prices of their vehicles repeatedly to move the needle. Rivals are offering lower upfront costs. Joseph like zero down financing, better deals. Analysts warn that Tesla does face tough choices. Either boost sales with those incentives that hurt your profitability or protect your margins and concede market share to some of your competitors. It's a catch-22 that a lot of people have to make. And last but not least, some people have been making the argument that it's their vehicle lineup, the fact that it's been stagnant, really without any major redesigns for a while now. Their last new model was a Cybertruck in late 23. The Model Y refresh didn't really move the needle, and they delayed their, obviously, Model 2 or Model Q, whatever you want to call it, Joey.
Now?
It's delayed. We still haven't seen it. So.
Right, I don't know. Just like the stock, the volatility comes within the CEO himself as well. So again, I don't know if I'm going to say that its supremacy in the obviously dominating the EV space is over for good, but right now you can most definitely start to see it cool down as you got some of these Chinese EV makers starting to make way in Europe and across the globe and just grabbing market share from Tesla left, right, and center. Can they go back to complete total dominance? I don't know. They're going to have to come out with something more competitive, as Sharif mentioned. I don't know if it's just the models being its primary issue. There's obviously a lot more going on, whether it be Elon Musk battling with Donald Trump, joining Doge, doing something that's just kind of frustrating the shareholders and everyone else around them. But yeah, there's been brand damage. Have we fully recovered from that? I don't think so. But again, I mentioned it time and time again. With this name, you want to be forward-looking. It's autonomy and robotics. So if he gets that right, he's positioned relatively well. He can produce this en masse more efficiently than what Google can. It costs them $230K to make a vehicle. Costs Tesla probably about $30-40K to make their autonomous vehicles. So, I mean, obviously with FSD, I'm referring to robotaxi in itself. So just be patient on this. I don't think the Model 2 is going to completely save it. It's probably going to be a lower margin vehicle. But again, autonomy, FSD, and robotics.
Joey, we're over $1 in the money on SNTG. We're long 39s. It's breaking out through 50. Man, shout out to Bovin again, man. How many times are we going to shout Bovin in one freaking day? Now we're setting up here at 7 2/3 Joey options. I don't want to take too much of the new segment, but I want to point out that we're breaking out here on SNTG and we're doing it freaking live. Over $1 in the money and looking for more. Adara. Nice. Are we going to see the Model 2 anytime soon? I hate to keep asking you the same question, but that's really what everybody was wondering.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to see it soon. Eli Lilly, just so you guys know, kind of rocketing here. I'm not seeing any news on it yet, but be aware. This is gone in a matter of like 20 minutes from 7:20 all the way to 7:32, which is not usually how this moves. If I have any news on it, I'll let you know. But right now, I'm not seeing any. I just want to flag that. Now, with regards to TSLA, you guys know how I feel about Tesla. I want Elon to give us results.
Bang.
And what's weird too, Sharif and Joe, is the Model 2 was not included in the very long list of goals that has been set there for Elon Musk in that pay package, right? Like $7.5 trillion in value creation to get the company to an $8.5 trillion valuation. We have also got the AI bots, the robotaxis. What about the Model 2? So I don't know. I think that's a little odd. I think it's very clear that regardless of how we view Tesla at this point as an AI company, as a robotics company, as a car company, I think there really is value in this shareholder proposal. And not the proposal, the payment plan. And I say that because if we can get Elon Musk focused and working towards value creation of any kind and meeting deadlines and not saying we're going to get cars starting production in 6 months when that doesn't happen, I think that's the goal. And yeah, we're going to have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. But I actually think that November 6th, when we'll get the vote in the pay package, that should be really exciting. And I'm all for it.
All right, I'm going to put this question to you and Joseph. I'd like to get your take on this. Do you think there is this thinking that's unspoken by Elon at this point that he kind of wants to look past the car business to an extent as a real big margin generator? Because we all know vehicle margins are super tight. We've seen that in the past. Is he now looking at Adara at, the next wave for Tesla, the software with FSD, the robotaxi, obviously as a software as a service that's going to bring in revenue? Is that the thinking for Elon, or is still the car business the focus in his mind? What's your opinion on that?
Honestly, can any of us really say we know what Elon Musk is thinking?
Well, I'm not asking you to tell me what Elon's thinking. What are you speculating?
Well, I honestly, that's my answer. You really can't speculate right now because I think he has been so all over the place, especially as of late. He keeps promising these new cars. Then we have the robotaxi. Then he's saying, 80% of the business is going to be robots soon. Like, I think he kind of needs to, I don't even care what lane he picks. If a lane is picked and if shareholders back that, which I think, given the fact that Tesla bulls are mostly Elon bulls, I think they probably will back whatever he goes with. But I think at this point, just one lane needs to be picked, one or two.
What's your opinion on that? Do you think, can you infer anything from his actions?
Well, I'm going to start off with this. So the pay package, when I was reading up on it, a little article, it's to keep Elon motivated, which I found very, very interesting. Why do I have to keep you motivated? This is your job. This is your business. This is your baby. So that was one thing that I found very interesting. But as for the car business, I think it's extremely important because if he's going to dominate Waymo, he needs to start producing the robotaxi, and he obviously needs to get out the software for FSD and get it en masse. So for me, I think it's equally as important. So if he really wants to focus on autonomy, I think they go hand in hand with each other. Okay. But I just found it very interesting that they need to create this pay package and structure it to keep him motivated. I just found that very, very intriguing. Why do we need to keep? Why do you need to be motivated? Right? Shouldn't you want to already beat your competitors? You're going neck to neck with Sam Altman. That's motivation. But your foundry business is your vehicle business. Would you not want to become the best of the best at that once again?
I agree in an ideal world, but we saw what he did last time when he was offered a pay package. Nobody thought he could get there, which is kind of why it was voided, right? Fair. It was so insanely lucrative that nobody thought it was achievable. Then he achieved it. Right, so I don't know. Maybe he works off that. Maybe he's the type of personality that needs that.
For sure. But for me, it's not a good look to say to keep him motivated, in my opinion.
That's fair. I mean, like the wording here probably does make a difference. All right, guys. OGen. Each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the United States, yet there is still no FDA-approved treatment. New York Stock Exchange listed Oragenics under ticker OGEN is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Oragenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more and schedule a meeting today. Shout out to the good folks at Oragenics. All right, let's go on to the next topic, baby. What do we got here? Apple getting pumped down today, down over 1%. Upcoming iPhone event tomorrow. Make sure to stay with us. I think that goes live at around 10 o'clock Pacific time. We will be here on the midday covering all of that for you. So Apple is expected to unveil a new, slimmer iPhone dubbed the iPhone Air. A lot of this has been leaked online. Really unsure if a lot of these pictures are the real deal or they're, just kind of bupkis. This iPhone Air is kind of positioned in between the base iPhone 17 and the Pro model, so it's going to be an intermediary in terms of price, not performance. It's going to be downgraded with respect to performance. And it's believed the slimmer device could drive a significant upgrade cycle as it would represent a major design shift in years. The thinner build may also pave the way for what analysts are saying are going to be future foldable phones. So they're trying to get their feet wet with respect to slimmer bodies, and then maybe we'll see a foldable next year or the year after that. They are facing strong competitions, though, from rivals like Samsung, which are already on the 7th generation of foldables, though adoption does remain very low, below 2% of all smartphone sales. So still hasn't really penetrated the market en masse. Analysts suggest Apple could justify price hikes by offering a larger storage capacity as an entry level rather than raising prices outright. And historically, in fact, they've avoided direct price hikes. So even though we are expecting a $50 or $100 bump on some of the more expensive models, they're likely going to justify that as the prices increase because we're giving you more storage. We'll have to see how they end up kind of pitching that. The planned AI-powered Siri upgrades are obviously delayed into next year due to engineering issues. We'll have to see if they say anything about that tomorrow. Google's Gemini Gemini AI will play a role, as will ChatGPT, as Apple kind of scrambles to make their own large language model, if they're even making one. And then last but not least here, Joey, analysts argue Apple's strength lies in integrating AI at the chip level via Apple Silicon, as opposed to maybe having their own LLM to speak of.
Fair enough, fair enough. We all know what's going on with Apple here. Coming tomorrow, I think Sharif gets to order his new iPhone in a couple of days, which is going to be pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's positive, right? Considering the Google news, everything along those lines, they're going to be able to keep that cash as in the service revenue. So we'll pull up AAPL. And once it broke that downtrend, then sure enough, I knew that we were off to the races, and that's what this name has been. So it set the bar really low. April, obviously with the previous keynote, I think that's what they did because they botched AI in the previous release. So it's just like, all right, let's just kind of get our feet together here, our thoughts together, and see what we can come. I like what Katina Man was saying as well. These guys don't even need to come up with anything spectacular. They can just charge the likes of Perplexity, ChatGPT, and continuously collect that revenue from Google. So yeah, there's ways that they can monetize, obviously AI and everything. So I think they'll be just fine. I don't know if I don't think the 17 is going to be that super cycle that we're looking from. I know the 16 was supposed to, but we obviously had the botch release. Now our individuals and people who are looking to upgrade their phone is like, oh, okay, well I got the 16, it didn't work out. Am I going to get rid of this and then hop right into the 17, not knowing that, hey, I don't even know how good this is going to work out, right?
Aside from the design changes, if you bought the 16 thinking even the 15 too, I'm going to get it for Apple Intelligence because they have the new silicon in it. Sure, then it will still work when they drop it next year. So you got a great point. Incentivized at least from the AI perspective, maybe a little bit less. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to. It has to be great. If like Siri is super agentic, like hey Siri, send an e-transfer to blah blah for me. Send it, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, it's all the 2 years that they've been lagging. It's like, okay, throw that all out of the window. These guys are the best of the best, and everybody wants to get back into the iPhone. Right now, that's not the case.
Adara, that's not the only product though that's being released tomorrow. We're also going to get some wearables, including the AirPods and the watch.
Yeah, I was really excited last year. We covered it live on the midday show when we had those, I guess, hearing aid related AirPod announcements. That I think was pretty cool. I think wearables are huge, but I think one thing that we have to remember is this is the event where we traditionally, of course, get the iPhone announcements. With that in mind, I am working on this. It has been a bit of a passion project. I have gone through and found the weekly stock performance on every iPhone announcement date because they didn't used to be in these September events. They actually used to announce the iPhone at the WWDC in June. So with that in mind, as you can see here, generally the stock tends to drop the week of these events. So this is just the first 5 events, but as you can see right across the board, there were a couple of events, of course, where we had green weeks after, but that was pretty few and far between. So with regards to what to expect from the stock, generally we do tend to lean red. Again, this is just past accumulation of data. Things can be exceptions, different things can happen, but I think with regards to the reaction, that is something to keep in mind. Now, in terms of Apple and the announcements, I have said, and I'll say it before, I'll say it again, I do not think they should bring up AI unless there's a massive announcement. If they know what's good for them, don't bring up AI unless you have something big. And from what we were reading, even reports like 2-3 weeks ago, it sounds like they're still not even sure. They're talking to this Gemini AI with regards to that collaboration, but they're still considering an in-house model. They're still considering maybe Anthropic. So I think once they nail everything down, I think it's safe to make an announcement. But right now, it just seems like they're pretty scatterbrained with regards to what's happening there, at least as far as we can tell based on reports.
Okay, thank you. In addition to that, I just also wanted to mention that the headphones are going to have a heartbeat monitor in them this time. It's not just for the hearing impaired. There's going to be a whole launch of new healthcare-related products. They're going to be on the wearables for Apple, and that's kind of the direction we were seeing going. Thank you for that, Adair. Let's go on to the next topic over here. Alibaba leads $100 million funding round in humanoid robot startup X Square is the name of the company. It's a Shenzhen-based humanoid robotics company, and they got about $100 million from Alibaba in the 8th funding round for the company. The deal brings a total investment into this X Square robot at about 2 billion yuan, which is about $280 million since launching back in 23. It's Baba's first push into robotics, and obviously not a moment too soon, as a lot of rivals are jumping into the Square as well. So they unveiled what they're calling Wall OSS, the world's first open source foundation model for embodied AI. In other words, hardware that and software that goes on to robotics. The company aims to push robotics beyond basic functions like, grasping towards more autonomous, complex task execution. We've seen this sort of with Tesla's Optimus, where Optimus is given a one-line command about what to do, and then it's able to problem solve on its own. So we need to see more advanced software going with the hardware. That's what they're trying to co-develop. The CEO expects humanoid robots to evolve towards a robotic butlers within 5 years. I'm sure Brenda will be pumped about that. That's not the only headline coming out of Baba. They're launching Quantana X2, which is, that's another humanoid robot featuring a mop head, which basically for 360-degree cleaning. It's gonna also have hands that detect subtle pressure changes, and their pricing is kind of ridiculous. So $80,000 per unit, but rival Unitree has a $16,000 one. Endless note though, mass consumer adoption likely require more or a price closer to that $10,000 level, as opposed to the $16,000 or $80,000 look here. So good luck for Baba. Joey, I don't know if they're still up on the day. They were up in the pre-market. Where are they at right now?
It's still up.
Yeah, up three and a fifth. Not a bad look.
Yeah, no, not a bad look. But we all know with these, this is the race that we're going through, right? So now it's like, okay, robotics, everything was AI, who can have the best LLM? And then now, sure enough, you're starting to see Alibaba start, and we're starting to see more robotics talk in the likes of Tesla, Rich Tech, and then obviously here we got this thing that we're talking about. But you just got to be careful with these names, right? Considering you're at the mercy of the overnight risk when you're trading some of these ADRs, and sure enough, you do get this massive gap up, but what happens preceding that? It's like most of these gaps do get filled to the downside. So, but I mean, it's a really good look off of those April lows. Sorry, Alibaba, not too bad. And I mean, they were doing some training on the Huawei chips for a while as well, but that didn't work out as planned. So, dependent on the Americans.
All right, Adero, how cheap do these things have to get for you to get one to clean the place there?
I don't know. I mean, I'll just clean or not clean my own room, truthfully. I'm not that interested in the whole robotic thing. I'm not a part of the Jetsons family. And honestly, I find it kind of creepy.
Exciting.
Pardon?
Exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think to each their own for people, but I'm like, I don't really want to deal with that. I like horror movies, and I'm always worried one will just get mad with me one day. I think maybe the more interesting story of here for the Alibaba too is the Quen launch that we talked about today as well. Quen tends to be doing pretty well for Alibaba. We know now apparently they have they've reached a new level there with regards to, and what was the wording of this? It's not interferences, there is a word, and I want to make sure I get the word, parameters. There we go, 1 trillion parameters there for their AI. Previously, earlier this year, was 600 million was the low point. Now, again, 1 trillion parameters. And this is apparently text only for that Alibaba AI. This is just Tesla's chart. Sorry, I couldn't pull up Baba's. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good look here for Alibaba. The fact they're also trying to get into robotics in addition. Yep. The AI side of things shows continuously they're trying to have their hands in multiple pies. And as of right now, it does seem to be going well for them in terms of, I guess, the way the company has been growing and spending.
Absolutely. Good call there, Dare. Thank you. Do you think maybe that we see a slowdown, at least in the next, I want to say, 6 months, a year, out of the AI in China because of the whole H20 dissuading of the tech companies buying it and the reliance more on the Huawei Ascend and some other competitors. Because if you hear what DeepSeek was saying, they were saying, look, we wanted to release the R3, and we couldn't release R3 because we couldn't train it properly on the Huawei Ascend.
So you're saying, do you think we see talks slow down between the States and China in some of these?
Possibly as a result, but that's not what I mean.
In general.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, we got DeepSeek kind of a curveball, came out of nowhere almost.
Absolutely,
right?
but
do you see a slowdown of that possibly?
Do you think China can afford to slow down?
I don't think they can afford to,
right?
If you know, from a competitive sense. But you know, maybe do they look a little bit more long term as opposed to short term?
I don't know if they can. You know what I mean? If they want to come out on top of this race, and that's essentially what I'm getting at, can they afford to kind of take a breather? And for me, the answer is going to be no, because we hear that NVDA's chips are about 5 to 10 years ahead of what they've got experiencing in China with the Huawei chips and everything. Only good for inference, not necessarily training.
That's fair.
So if you ask me, I don't think that China has the ability, or they don't have the breathing room to slow down, more or less, to say. So no, I don't think they do. If they can spend it, if you get the government funding, I think they ramp up and try to catch up to the Americans. Yeah.
All right, let's do it, baby. Let's go on to one of the reasons we're even talking about this. NVIDIA sees a price target cut. Oh no, but tailwinds remain. NVIDIA up 1 3/4 on the day, but it was a bit of a tough week. In fact, the stock is down, I should say, over 8% in the past month, really pressured by their earnings report and the subsequent weakness tied to the Broadcom's deal that they struck with OpenAI. So some of the money funneling in there, and you can see that plenty. Broadcom on the verge of taking out 350. Citi analyst Atif Malik lowered the price target from 210 down to 200, but maintained that buy rating, citing strong AI demand and longer-term demand, obviously, despite the near-term headwinds. Broadcom, for their part, they surged 9.4% after guiding that clients would increasingly adopt its AI hardware over NVIDIA's GPUs. And they also, don't forget, they make custom silicon, which NVIDIA doesn't, right? Malik estimated the shift could cost NVIDIA about $12 billion in potential sales. That's his opinion, or his estimate there. Citigroup, where he works, emphasized that NVIDIA's upside remains if GPU shipments to China resume, which are currently, again, restricted by U.S. policy for certain models. Obviously, the H20 got the go-ahead and has a license to be exported from the Commerce Department, but that current, at least undeveloped as of yet, B30A, new China-specific chip that's supposed to be based on the Blackwell architecture, still hasn't been approved, nor have we even seen it. According to reports from NVIDIA, that should have been, or samples of said B30A should have been sent to China by this month. We'll have to see if that happens. And we already know your friend Zuckerberg there at the White House meet and greet with the tech CEOs, and Chamath was there right beside David Sachs, as we were talking about that last week. He suggested the company could invest over $600 billion in U.S. AI infrastructure through 2028. And we were doing a little calculation there. That's 1/3 of the market cap of Meta. And then you had to have loved the interaction. I don't know if you got to watch it with Zuck and Donald Trump, who was sitting right next to him. And he's like, when he said that 600 number, he was tripping a little bit after, because then he went back to Donald. He's like, I wasn't really prepared to make that statement. I don't know what number you want me to go with. I was like, oh my goodness, why are we talking about that? Why don't you have your own numbers when you sit there?
You just pledged a random number to AI build.
I don't know. Maybe you could look at it that way. Or the other one was like, maybe they were planning on making that release or a statement later, and he kind of just came with it at the time because he didn't know whether to say it or not. Anyway, it was a little odd. Make a long story short, NVIDIA not downgraded, but price target cut from Citi.
Again, they can do all that price target cutting that they want, Sharif. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. As long as these hyperscalers maintain their capex, is it going to be sustained through the previous quarters? No, but we know what they're going to spend already in 26. We know what they're going to spend for the rest of the year. Until you start to see the likes of Zuckerberg, Amazon, and some of these other names, Microsoft, really start to cool off on their AI build-out, I don't understand how you would look to downgrade NVDA. And especially if they do sort out this thing in China, Sharif, what is that going to do to the name? If they can fully unlock the true potential of what they can sell in China, never mind the H20, you're starting to sell the GBs now. I don't know. I think it's too tough to give this name a downgrade. It's just for me.
Well, he took price target cut.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like,
still, exactly.
It's like, are you sure about that? I don't know. And the answer to me
it's happened before, and it hasn't looked good every time.
It hasn't looked good. So for me, it's like, I don't know. One of the hottest names and one of the most important companies in what we're experiencing right now, I don't know. You can't cut that price target.
Adara, how awkward was that, Zuck?
It was weird. It was really weird. They went in a circle, and then you could tell they kind of felt pressure to say whatever numbers, because you had, obviously, Tim Cook and Mark Zuckerberg with these huge numbers, and then Satya and Sundar Pichai not really with the same numbers, right? Their metrics were a bit different, too, because I know Microsoft said they're going to be spending 70 to 80 billion this year alone. Sundar Pichai is saying about 250 million over the next 2 years, and not necessarily the next 4. But yeah, either way, it was awkward. I don't know why it needed to happen, but it did, and now we have that moment forever in history.
Did you see where, like, Donald said to him, like, this is the beginning of your political career, and Zuck, like, emphatically said no because he didn't want anybody to run with that headline? Like, maybe something's up there. Is Zuck thinking of something? He's like, no, I'm not running for politics.
I don't know. I mean, who knows what? This is a man that did a rap song with T-Pain for his wife's anniversary, baby. So, like, it is what it is. Again, I'm not going to try to pretend I know how billionaires think. With regards to NVIDIA, though, I kind of understand this note to an extent. You know, they're worried Broadcom is guiding really heavily, and so there are concerns, I guess, about competition with NVIDIA. But I do think it's, there's lots of different competitors in the space, right? So at least they didn't downgrade them. I think the $10 price target decrease is more than fair for what this analyst believes the issue is. Now, what I think is interesting, too, is that we have reports from Sky News that NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is going to be joining Trump at his state banquet dinner there in the UK next week. We have to wait and see what happens there. We know that Jensen was very active with regards to the Middle East, and we know because there have been some issues in China, I really want to see NVIDIA and other companies, especially NVIDIA, though, with the China issues, get active in other regions of the world. I think it's a good look.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to point out as well is one thing we need to keep an eye on when we're talking about Broadcom and the comparisons with NVIDIA is that Broadcom makes custom silicon for these hyperscalers. So when they design things internally so that they're vertically integrated and they're trying to save costs, Broadcom is the company they go to. They don't go to AMD. They don't go to NVIDIA. So that's one very good strength that Broadcom has over all the other players is their ability to make custom silicon. Obviously, Intel could be one of those ones as well, but we're definitely still waiting on that recovery. So I'd love to see how many of the hyperscalers, as AI progresses and matures, go far or try to lessen their reliance on the higher margins, higher priced NVIDIA flagship devices and design their own internal chips and just have Broadcom make them. So I'd love to see how that kind of trade manifests. And here Broadcom up 3 1/3 and now $1.625 trillion market cap. That's a fantastic move. We were just, I think, above $1 trillion, maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 months ago. So great look here for Broadcom as it knocks on the door of $2 trillion. Let's go on to the next. Do you have anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen OpenAI teaming up with Broadcom as well.
And that's going to happen.
Right? So, I mean, I like what OpenAI is doing. It's kind of diversifying itself, not being so stuck with Microsoft. So you're seeing them teaming up with Oracle as well, too. So cloud provider. So I like what they're doing.
All right, let's go on to the next topic over here. I didn't get a chance to load this car up. Maybe I should, Joey.
Load it up.
I'll do it while your analysis is going on. So XPeng here, launching the new P7 in Europe. So launching a nice sports sedan. Oh, where's the Randy? You see the new P7 from XPeng launching in Europe? You saw it. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. So XPeng launched the next P7 sports sedan at the IAA Mobility 2025 conference in Munich. I know that there's going to be multiple launches at this conference here, highlighting, though, XPeng, for their part, their AI technology, their intelligent driving systems, and their global ambitions to move away from just a domestic car sales company in China. The car delivers 593 PS. I don't know what that is. It accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers in 3.7 seconds and reaches a top speed of 230 kilometers an hour. And it also set an EV endurance record, driving a little bit less than 4,000 kilometers in 24 hours, obviously with charging. XPeng's strategy centers around really here self-developed AI ecosystem spanning AI cars, flying vehicles, because we know they have eVTOLs as well as humanoid robots. The company aims, according to reports, to mass produce the L4 autonomous vehicles, level 4, by 2026 and begin robo-taxi trials in China by same year, 2026. So we'll be on the lookout for that. They recently opened, Joey, a Munich R&D center, the first of its kind in Europe, to strengthen ties with the European Union. Just show them what that beauty looks like, because that's not a bad-looking car, baby.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And if this is actually real, here we get the wing edition.
Yeah, this is a real deal,
That's
bro.
sick, right? I think it's a pretty good-looking car. Looks a little like a Tesla, maybe as well too. But there it is.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
That teardrop shape is like one that all the EVs go for to increase range, because it's so
more aerodynamic.
Exactly.
Yeah, so okay, fair enough. But it's a nice looking car, right? And if you get the wings on that, that's a pretty good. What's it going for these days? Do we know?
Didn't actually write here, Joey. They didn't say the price. I should have been writing the price. No, they didn't write it.
That's okay.
We can do a little bit.
Yeah, we can do a little bit deeper. But as for these EV names, right? I feel like we're starting to get a little bit diluted here. XPEV, we got BYD, we got Lee. The chart, surprisingly, I think you got a couple gap ups. No, and it's relatively the same. But if you do want to go back to September of 2020 or August of 2024, consistent higher lows, you do get some big time moves in this name. But other than that, like, this is not a horrible look. I want to zoom out and see what it is from a weekly. So $75, but off of those lows, double bottom around $6. Just the other day, we were talking about these Li Auto as well. So, I mean, it's tough, right? This EV space is tough. And what Sharif was talking about earlier in the day is that Tesla just absolutely dominated from a market share standpoint. Bang. And he's slowly giving it away. And I think that's going to be the case in a lot of these. Do these EVs just fall into the realm of some of these internal combustion engine vehicles where it's like, okay, yeah, you caught the earlier stages, but after they've gone through their growth cycles, is that going to be sustained, or do they just fall into the category of just another car company? And I don't want to say that about Tesla, because there's more going for it, but same with the Li Autos and these XPengs. Do they just fall into the realm of just another car company one day?
And we saw what some of these Chinese EVs are doing there. It's like a race to the bottom, right? Who can cut the price more?
Right, and it's like, how do some of these names even hold on to anything? If you're just cutting away at your margins, chipping away by lowering your price, and then eventually you're going to phase out a bunch of them and you're left with a couple individuals, and you're just like, yeah, I don't even really like
and
this.
And then they raise prices.
Right, exactly.
Industry
just to
consolidated.
So, yeah, it's a tough space, man, and I'm curious to see if they just fall into just another car company.
What do you think about this move by XPeng Adara to kind of just leave, the Chinese market as its exclusive domain and move into Europe, expand its horizons?
I mean, yeah, I think if you have the ability to do that with your vehicles, then I think it makes sense to do so. This car seems pretty cool. I think XPeng in general, and I've mentioned this before, they do tend to be, I don't want to say ahead of the curve, but they often perform a little bit better than their peers in the Chinese EV space, especially when it comes to these delivery numbers. So let's see if it continues here. I mean, like, I know very little about cars. I always like to preface any auto commentary with that. But I mean, this 230 kilometers per hour, that's a pretty impressive top speed. Again, endurance record, don't know too much about, but the fact that you can drive a lot without necessarily having to charge it is also probably a good look for people who kind of, I guess, maybe you want to go on EV road trips or something. I don't know. Again, not something I know a lot about, but the fact that they're also talking about these affordable consumer robots shows that not only are we looking for robots in that EV space, we know Tesla with Optimus, but also in China too, with that story we talked about earlier with Alibaba, they're really pivoting towards robotics. So, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. Not much to say here. Car looks neat. Let's see how it performs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Adara. It's a good look, especially what I want to see. We used to make fun of this. Well, I was, because when you looked at some of their autonomous driving systems on YouTube, it looked almost identical to being in Tesla, either FSD or just their autopilot. It looked like they basically copied it, and then they were just using their own sort of UX on front of it, right? It'd be nice to see, like, can they actually develop something in independence, right?
Now, as for the Chinese regulators and full autonomy, do we know anything about how it's going over there? Are they more open to it? Because you know how the Ministry of Transportation here was favoring LiDAR over the camera system for a while.
Question, yeah.
Do we have any any form of a look? Like, are they favoring one company over another, or?
I know Baidu is going to do trials coming up. I think it was with BYD, or they were. Yeah. So there's tech companies are teaming up. My understanding with some of these EV companies, how the regulator does, a bit of a tougher question. I personally don't know, but we can definitely look into that. Great question, though, Jim.
I mean, I'm curious. I think that's a big time race. Like, we're obviously talking about AI. Dan Ives would like to say that Tesla is a pretty pure AI play as well, too, in the form of autonomy. Well, I think that is the case. Who can have more autonomous vehicles? The United States or China? Obviously, there's significantly more people in China. But yeah, I think that's something that's maybe a little bit under the radar to see who can have more autonomous vehicles on the road. But
absolutely, Joe. I think just looking, I think Pony AI is actually one of those. So I just want to make sure that I was right. It is a Chinese company. They're out of Guangzhou. So yeah, Pony AI is one of the companies that is actually engaged in that. So Pony AI is a holding company principally engaged in the commercialization of autonomous vehicles. That's their moat there. I don't know who they're working with. You guys can do a deep dive to see which Chinese EV manufacturer Pony AI is working. Maybe they're not working with anybody. Maybe they're looking at making it a multiple use system. Let's go on to the next story. EchoStar, ticker SATS, like satellites, SATS, sells a spectrum license to SpaceX for $17 billion deal. So EchoStar agreed to sell their wireless spectrum license that they own to SpaceX. As I mentioned, $17 billion to bolster SpaceX's satellite network. The deal structure is going to go as follows. $8.5 billion in cash, $8.5 billion in SpaceX stock, with SpaceX also covering about $2 billion of EchoStar's debt interest payments all the way through 2027. So for the next couple of years, the agreement follows EchoStar's $23 billion sale of a spectrum to AT&T back in August, signaling a broader effort to resolve regulatory issues. What are those regulatory issues? Well, the FCC was none too pleased with EchoStar for kind of dragging its feet, what they're calling the underutilization of the spectrum and the failure to meet the 5G build-up obligations that they were obliged to do under the spectrum issuance, the spectrum license issuance. President Donald Trump previously urged EchoStar and the FCC, Chair Brendan Carr, to reach a settlement and prevent the spectrum license revocation. So here they've sold it off. EchoStar warned that the FCC scrutiny was hammering its deployment plans and led to a missed interest payment of around $500 million. Yes, blame the SEC by all means. The deal includes a commercial partnership allowing Boost Mobile subscribers to connect directly to Starlink's direct-to-cell service, expanding the coverage. So if you're on Boost Mobile, all of a sudden, you've got direct connection there to Starlink, at least for certain things. SpaceX gains obviously valuable wireless spectrum resources, I should say, strengthening their ambition to compete with terrestrial telecom providers. Adara, I know you don't like to kind of look into the future, but is this maybe the first step that we see in the incremental, well, Joseph's back, so I'll get his opinion after, the incremental moving away from terrestrial towers into everything kind of being in the satellites and just us using cell phones and connecting directly to space?
Yeah, I mean, potentially, right? It's certainly an interesting step. I do want to focus, though, back on the terrestrial for a moment, because in terms of how this impacted the market, other than the great move into SATS, we actually had a drop in a lot of these traditional phone providers, right? So TMUS, VZ, AT&T, they were all really weak. And AT&T also is an interesting element here because they had previously made a deal, I think back in July or August here, with EchoStar as well. Yeah, so a bit of an interesting look here with regards to how some of these traditional plays might, I guess, lose out with regards to this deal. Now, of course, things will change, times will change. I'm not saying, we have to stay left behind. But it's an interesting element, and I think one thing, at least market-related, worth looking at here, some of these communications names, especially, again, AT&T getting hit super hard.
Yeah, well said, Adair. So I don't know if you want to comment on this?
Yeah, I heard your question. So
Yeah.
do you think that we go from the traditional cell phone towers to more of a satellite-based?
Yeah, so like Boost Mobile, now you're getting, you're able to connect directly to Starlink direct cell service.
Yeah, I'm going to just put it on the grand scheme of things, right?
Baby.
Like in the likes of AI, you got to adapt. You got to continuously be innovating. And if you're stuck within the same loop, then sure enough, you're not going to grow as a society or as a race. I think eventually you do remove yourself from the traditional cell phone towers and head into some satellite stuff. I think that's going to be fantastic. Starlink is only going to gain ground. And as for Elon, like how much more stuff does this guy need to give back? Sorry to go back into it. It's like Starlink. You got the Boring Company. You have the chip company Neuralink. You have Tesla. You have SpaceX. There's a lot going on. I think he's going to be just fine. He's obviously a fantastic engineer, but I think the world does eventually transition.
Yeah, I like to see this incremental move. We never get typically an overnight change in technology.
No.
You know, from terrestrial towers to satellite. But you got to think about the bigger picture. Like if you're holding AMAT, for example, which is American Tower, it's a tower REIT basically. They you rent spaces to put up these towers. So basically that's what that is. They invest in these spaces to put up cell phone towers. Like, is that something that you start looking to short in the next 2-3 years? Like, that's what I mean to say when we talk about these future moves. I'm not talking about a technical intraday trade.
No.
I'm talking about understanding where the wind is blowing and try to make educated guesses.
A structural shift.
Exactly.
A structural shift.
Right.
And I think that's the importance, right? Like, just to lead it into the likes of stable coins, tokenization of everything, it's a structural shift. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see it in the likes of this as well.
I just want to mention, Joey, there's another small cap gap. We're breaking to the high side. It's MGIH. It's up 87.5%. It's halted to the upside at $2.98, just a little bit below 3. Trade it carefully. Adara has news.
Yeah, keep an eye here on Meta, Microsoft, and maybe even Palantir here. This came out about an hour ago, and Bloomberg is just circulating through social media now. But apparently the U.S. Army has awarded some new combat goggle contracts. One team here is Anduril and Meta. They've also given Rivet Industries apparently a contract. Anduril's contract with Meta valued at $159 million. This actually is building off of Microsoft goggles, the AVAS goggles. So keep an eye on MSFT, META, maybe Palantir with this story in mind. Again, came out about an hour ago, seeing it circulate in social media now. Back to you.
Preparing for its long-awaited IPO. $14 billion is the price they're targeting, or the cap they're targeting. So let's look at this one. So Klarna preparing for its long-awaited IPO, with shares expected to be priced between $35 and $37, valuing the firm at up to $14 billion. The valuation is a recovery from the $6.7 billion valuation that they got pegged with in 2022, but far, far lower than their 2021 valuation, which was $45.6 billion. So they're not even close to being recovered. That was actually during SoftBank's funding round. So SoftBank substantially underwater there. The IPO will be a critical test of investor confidence in Klarna's shift, which we'll get to in a moment, from an exclusively buy now, pay later service into more of a neobank, like a broader neobank, like a SoFi, or even a Robinhood or PayPal, to be fair. Klarna is rebranding itself beyond the buy now, pay later, aiming to be seen as a PayPal-style digital wallet and retail bank. It already holds a banking license in Sweden back from 2017, and it offers bank accounts as well in Germany, but doesn't have a license. Don't know how they're doing that. They recently also rolled out debit cards, deposit accounts, and they expanded their banking products across Europe and the United States. So good luck for them. Here's the deal, though. We don't know what their financials are as rigorously as we would know if they were a publicly traded company, but here's what we're looking at. Andre, are you able to put on the screen, or is it not working at the moment? Okay, no problem. So the Q2 net loss for Klarna widened to about $53 million. That's tripling from where it was a year prior of around $18 million net loss. So we know that typically is the case for companies that are growing. Their Q2 revenue grew about 20% year over year, and they're bringing in still less than $1 billion a quarter. $823 million is what they're bringing with their annual revenue. in 2024 being about $2.81 billion. Investors are expected to scrutinize their filings closely, weighing its losses against the long-term growth potential. And here's how GP Bullhound partner Joachim Dahl, he's projecting Klarna could eventually generate about $10 billion in annual revenue with a 20% EBIT margins, implying that it would have something in the range of $50 billion as a valuation by 2030. So not that long from now. Expansion into advertising as well as merchant services, Joey, could add more onto that value above $50 billion.
Yeah, I mean, digital ad, obviously, revenue is something positive. I'm looking at just kind of, they're looking to move towards more of a PayPal-style digital wallet, obviously, with the tokenization of everything. That's going to be positive as well, too. And kind of swaying away from the buy now, pay later stuff. We know that our society is essentially built off of credit and debt. So interesting on that fact. But for me personally, come the IPO, it's what are we looking at on the top? Is it oversubscribed? From an intraday standpoint, are we going to continuously be climbing on the theoretical auction price? And that's what I'm going to be keeping my eye out for on that name.
All right. So before we get to Adara, it's apparently... this could be wrong, but this is the information that I'm seeing. September 10th, the launch date on the NYSE under ticker KLAR. It's going to offer approximately 34.3 million shares, and the price is going to be between $35 to $37. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. The underwriters are going to be Goldman, JP, and Morgan. Why am I not surprised about that? So Klarna, likely September 10th. No confirmation yet. Adara, what do you make of this whole thing?
That's basically what I saw, too. I know I'm seeing Wednesday. I was also seeing earlier a report from Bloomberg suggesting that they're looking to price this IPO even above that range. They're looking either at the higher end of that previously mentioned $35 to $37 range, or they actually want it to surpass that. So we're going to have to wait and see what the pricing is. But there is one thing I do want to flag. It looks like we're going to be oversubscribed. Now, we also, again, valuation below that $45.6 billion peak valuation. Now, why do I mention that? Because Bullish, when they had their IPO recently, we know initially really well received, then it pushed significantly lower even that day. Well, Bullish was valued much, much higher back in 2021 than it was when we did this IPO. So with Klarna, do we get a pop and drop? I'm almost leaning that way again, just to kind of look at these recent IPOs. We know that there has been, I guess, a little bit of a dialing down in investor interest when it comes to IPOs compared to the multi-day strength. We had names like CoreWeave, Circle, and then basically after that they started petering out. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I do not have high hopes for Klarna, but I think regardless, it'll be really interesting print to take right off the open. Bullish was even that right before it tanked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Adara. I had something to say here. Yes, they were actually looking to go public back in April, but they had to put the kibosh on that because your friend Donald there decided to drop all his reciprocal tariffs, and then we all know what the market did after that, Joey. So Klarna originally scheduled to IPO April this year, had to kick it down the road until things calmed down a bit. So we're going to get, hopefully, KLAR on the NYSE, 35 to 37, maybe oversubscribed here. We'll have to see what the tap is.
Yeah, but that's what I was mentioning before. We just got to keep our eyes on what's going on with the tap. I mean, Adara, I wouldn't be surprised to add to her point if that you do kind of get that jump effect, but I wouldn't be surprised either way, Sharif. It can either rip and trade up to $70 to $80, or it can sell off out of the open and drop down to $25 or $20 or something.
Agree, man.
Either way, I'm not going to be surprised on what happens. You just want to look to try to take advantage of it. And Boston Frank, yes, I am. And I will remain long NVDA otherwise. Until otherwise.
All right, let's talk about Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, warning of massive tariff refund risks if the Supreme Court invalidates the Trump tariffs. So let's get a little bit more about it and expect or talk about what to expect in terms of timing. So, as I mentioned, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he is confident President Donald Trump's tariffs will prevail at the Supreme Court despite an appeals-level court invalidating most of the tariffs, causing them illegal. We know that they did temporarily suspend that ruling and gave time, obviously, for appeal, which is all the way up to the 14th. It gives the administration time to go to the Supreme Court. Trump has asked the Supreme Court, in fact, for an expedited ruling, seeking arguments to start in November and then a decision soon after. Normally, that could have taken until summer of 2026, specifically June, when the Supreme Court starts releasing a lot of its decisions. Looks like Donald is going to try to have the Supreme Court expedite that decision, given its importance. We'll have to see if the court, number one, accepts that, and number two, whether they act upon it. So if the tariffs are struck down, the Treasury, according to this article, would be forced to refund around half of the collective tariffs. Besant estimated the unwinding the tariffs could mean $750 billion to $1 trillion in refunds, which would be a massive windfall for businesses that paid them. He warned, though, that such a scenario would be terrible for Treasury and highly disruptive to trade and fiscal policy, as the Treasury would likely have to issue new treasuries in order to fund that, which obviously has a very, very bad effect on the fiscal balance, because then you'd be in more of a deficit than you currently are and paying more than $1 trillion in interest than you currently are. Before the court action, Trump's tariffs were set to impact about 70%, give or take, of U.S. goods imported. If struck down, though, the scope would shrink that to about 16%. So not all the tariffs would be invalidated, but the large majority of them would be. Here's the legal backdrop. Administration officials say they are preparing alternative legal strategies if the Supreme Court rules against Donald Trump's tariffs. The National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett said the administration could invoke Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which allows tariffs on national security grounds. Whether or not is legal or not, we'll have to wait and see. Trump has already used this authority to extend or expand the steel and aluminum tariffs. Additional threats, Joseph, include tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals that we still haven't quite seen yet.
Yep, for sure. New traders, listen up. First month free, that's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it's everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning-fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description. Now, as for this, Sharif, I'm very curious. So if the court wasn't to rule in Donald Trump's favor, and then they do have to return this money, what does that do for their bargaining hand? Is that going to put it in the favor of the countries that they've already tariffed them? Like, haha, well, you can't do this. Now we're going to restructure our deal so it's more or less, maybe I wouldn't say equal, but favoring the opposite party and not necessarily America. So is that in the best interest of America to do so? I don't know. I like Adara's point from before, is that, okay, if you're running a surplus in a country, they don't deserve to have 50% tariffs, like in the likes of Brazil. Yeah. But with countries that you're running a deficit in, and then now you have to return this money and then also restructure your deal after this, how is that going to look?
It's not going to look very good. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes. Adara, what's your take about this? Scott Besant making a statement there.
Yeah, it's messy. The whole situation is really messy, as Joe just mentioned. I mean, beyond, the optics of it, it's also complicated because now we're in a position where small businesses that got hurt, of course, are understandably, trying to find some kind of legal way to deal with that, right? And so we get the ruling, we get it found illegal, but now, unfortunately, there's an even bigger catch-22 where, either we understand these small businesses, they let these tariffs go down, but then we have a much larger, wider economic downfall. There's also the fact that even economists that were unsure about the tariffs have said that the tariffs have brought in quite a lot of money, right, for the U.S. So it's a bit hard, and this is why I'm not a Supreme Court judge, so I don't have to decide this, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, as long as the Supreme Court takes in all of the factors, makes a, for lack of a better term, full-bodied, wholehearted decision, thinking about all the factors, I think I can accept whatever response there is, and again, as long as there's legal justification for it, because I do understand this is a tricky issue on both sides. Initially, of course, the tariffs dropped the market, but then the market and the economy got pretty used to them, right? So is it more of a shock to take them back out? I don't know. And we'll have to wait and see if we find out.
I think so at the end.
It'd be really interesting because I think it would be a two-pronged effect. One, you would have corporate balance sheets that would improve because they wouldn't have to pay for the tariffs, and then you could pass the savings on to the consumer. The consumer could therefore have more buying power. That's the positive side. The negative side is your fiscal health is more chaotic than it had been in the past. Number one, because you've taken money and you've spent it. Now you've got to issue debt in order to pay that money back, and you're in the same position you were before, which is you're in a fiscal conundrum. You do not have as much money coming in as you need to kind of balance your books, at least on a year in, year out basis. Forget about the actual accumulating debt. We're just talking about the deficit, not the debt, dude.
Exactly.
And so, I feel it's a
I don't know. You don't like we were talking about this in the earlier stages of the tariff turmoil, our tantrum as well too, Sharif. So I don't know if it's in the best interest for the Supreme Court to rule against this, considering that if you're going to essentially lose $1 trillion off of the balance sheet, and you're trying to kind of hone in on spending, then I don't know. I don't think it's too good of a look. Obviously, we know tariffs is a consumption tax at the end of the day. And someone in the chat said, and I've been saying it for some time, is that we can't continue these 2020 levels of spending. And sure enough, that's why you rack up these massive deficits.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Senate advances work on crypto market structure bill. So the updated draft of the Responsible Financial Innovation Act includes new provisions clarifying what tokenized stocks and other securities will not be treated, or clarifying that tokenized stocks and other securities will not be treated as commodities when issued as digital assets. That's really important there because it differentiates which governing body is in charge. The distinction is aimed at preventing regulatory overlap and ensuring clear rules between what the SEC does, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC. Lawmakers are pushing to have the bill on President Trump's desk by the end of this year, with momentum really kind of picking up after the stablecoin bill was signed into law back in January. The House, for their part, they've already passed their version of the law marking of the market structure bill that was back in July. The Senate continues to work on their own. It still has to go through the Senate Banking Committee, which is supposed to be voted on this month on the SEC-related provisions, while the Senate Agricultural Committee is set to review the CFTC-related sections in October. So we've got one Banking Committee at the end of this month chiming in, and then we have the Agricultural Committee, which oversees the CFTC, because of commodities, session in October. So we probably won't have anything out of the Senate until the Agricultural Committee is done. A full Senate floor vote could occur as early as November, and then possibly have it weasel onto the president's desk by the end of the year, maybe December. Even though Republicans are fully backing the bill, 7 Democratic votes will be required for passage, highlighting the importance of here the bipartisanship of this vote. And there's been some good bipartisan efforts on the crypto bill. Senator Cynthia Lummis, is a leading sponsor of the bill, looking to garner more support for it, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing when we were talking about traditional cell phone towers leading into satellite. And if the states want to remain at the forefront of essentially everything and in the crypto space, I think it's best that they probably don't necessarily go against tokenizing everything. In my opinion, what is it going to lead to? Obviously, you're going to better some of your businesses as you lead to more transaction fees, etc. But for me personally, I don't know. I love tokenization. I love how we're moving everything to a digital aspect.
Adara, do you think this is kind of a way to put the kibosh on tokenizing equities and trying to tokenize everything? Or is this just about, setting boundaries as to what is governed by the SEC and what is controlled by the CFTC?
I think it could be either. I think to the latter point, we know that was a lot of issue with these acts that we have going forward, right? And a lot of when you hear, and again, I listen to very, very many of these Senate hearings, right? So when you hear a lot of these senators discuss crypto, a lot of it does have to do with the regulatory aspect, right? As long as we know who's governing what counts under what category. So I think with that in mind, it very much could be on that end. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the makeup of the Senate here with regards to this vote. You do have Tim Scott, leader of the Senate Banking Committee, incredibly pro-crypto, but the ranking member is Senator Elizabeth Warren, not necessarily known for her love of crypto. However, she does believe there should be, stronger regulation for crypto. That's my interpretation of her stances from what I've heard. So with that in mind, what I'm trying to say is, I think even across party lines, we could get a vote for this because people on both sides do seem to believe there needs to be more regulation. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I think there can be a case that we get this put forward. We know in general the SEC under the leadership of Paul Atkins has been much more active and forward about crypto than prior leader Gary Gensler. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. I think that this leadership right now has been trying to, for better or worse, propel these cases forward, right? I guess, work on these issues. And it hasn't even been a year, and we've already started to see progress. So I think either way, the fact that they're even going to be voting on this is a sign of progress, and I actually think they have a shot here.
Yeah, all right, I agree. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll know by the end of October, again, when the Agricultural Committee votes on it. Let's go on to the next topic. Yet another IPO weaseling its way onto the scene. This time is StubHub, a company, I don't know, I've known for a very long time. And I hate them, by the way.
Yeah.
Them and their fees, bro. Oh
yeah,
my God,
I don't know.
keep getting more, but that's how you make money. $9.2 billion is what they're targeting, Joey, in terms of a valuation. So they announced plans for a U.S. IPO. Targeting said valuation with a goal of raising as much as $851 million in the IPO. The company will look to sell about 34 million shares. The initial price here is at least between $22 to $25 a pop. They do plan on listing under the NYSE, another NYSE listed name. What is going on here? Under the ticker STUB, S-T-U-B. It's going to be underwritten by, yes, your repeat offenders here, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, acting as the lead underwriters in the IPO. We know what the IPO market's been doing. Lately, it's been great in 2025. It was very much stalled from basically 21 to 24, due to basically regulatory headwinds in 24 and 23 with the wrath of Lina Khan. Then we got the tariff-related uncertainty in the earlier half of this year. So we'll keep an eye on that. They're among StubHub, that is, among several high-profile companies delaying their listing. We heard about Klarna, obviously, earlier in the day. We talked about Gemini last week, I believe. So their listing will be watched closely as a barometer, sort of for demand and consumer focus. But there is tailwinds here, industry tailwinds, Joey. The live events industry has been booming in demand as consumers prioritize out-of-home entertainment experiences. Just ask the Rogers Stadium there, which I live near. Record-breaking ticket sales for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour boosted major revenue players like Live Nation under ticker LVY, highlighting the strength of the ticketing market, Joey. And they've sold over 40 million tickets in 2024 across 200 countries. Just talking there about StubHub. So definitely one to watch.
Yeah, as you mentioned too, just racking up the fees as well too, continuously. At what point? But see, this is me personally, though, right? I enjoy watching something aside from the atmosphere is fantastic. I enjoy watching sporting events more on television.
Really?
That's just me.
Better view?
Yeah. I can see better. Right, I can see better. Yeah. I like the commentary as well too. Obviously, you get the atmosphere aspect of things, but with the consumer starting to slow down, unemployment starting to get a little bit of an uptick, do you see this industry start to cool off as well too, because people have less money? I think
it's going to be a consumer thing.
Right?
Well said, yeah.
Right?
So you got to definitely keep an ear on the consumer strength or lack thereof when you're talking about a ticker like this.
So I mean, hey, is it going to come in as hot as some of the other ones, or is it going to be looking at something, as I just mentioned, from a consumer-based product, which I believe it is. So
what do you think about this IPO, Adara? Is this one of those ones that you think, fades just because it's not really AI or crypto or any of these hot sectors?
I will say with regards to the consumer, it's funny you say that because I just saw a quote earlier today from the CFO of Barclays saying they don't actually see any stress in the U.S. consumer, apparently. So with that in mind, we could continue to see an uptick in these types of plays. One thing I will definitely be watching when this IPO happens is Live Nation, of course, Ticketmaster and StubHub, not necessarily in the exact same business, but compatible field. So I'm going to be maybe watching that to see how it goes. It's a little bit tricky, right? I think, honestly, one of the best IPOs that we had through this whole, I guess, last couple months of resurgence was Figma, which was not actually in that, crypto space either, right? So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Like I said, I don't like to make predictions or get too ahead of myself. I like to let the market tell me what's important, what matters. So we're gonna have to wait and see here. I think, I'm kind of same thoughts as Klarna. We'll see what happens. Lately, even though we are in a hotter, quote unquote, IPO season, it has shown some signs of cooling. Will it cool further? I think we have to see Klarna first to figure out what StubHub is going to give us. But in general, it's very clear that the M&A culture is back, and in general, just I guess the growth of the market is back.
Feels like that. It definitely feels like that, Adair. All right, let's go on to QuantumScape. Last little one here before we talk about Robinhood momentarily. So QuantumScape and QuantumScape and Volkswagen Power Company unveiled their first live demonstration of solid-state lithium metal batteries powering an electric vehicle at the IAA Mobility Conference in Munich. We've mentioned that one again today. Also, a Ducati motorcycle was involved in this, Joey, equipped with a QSE 5 battery cells and designed in collaboration with VW Group, obviously owned Audi, was one of the debuts there. The demo represented a major milestone, moving solid-state batteries from a lab experiment within, the confines of a laboratory into real-world applications. QuantumScape emphasized its focus on addressing the EV industry in 5 key battery needs: energy density, charging speed, safety, lifespan, and cost effectiveness. They're trying to address all 5 of those with this latest product. The CEO said the company has crossed from possibility to reality with this breakthrough. Obviously, is a vested interest in the company doing well. And QS and Volkswagen have expanded their July 2024 collaboration to accelerate the commercialization of this QSE5 platform. The updated deal, Joey, increases funding and boosts manufacturing rights. So good exposure for the company. Let's see if they can build off this.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I agree with you on that one, guys. Market is really starting to sell off. So what I'm looking at the Qs here, just keep an eye out on this. This is a nice print. It doesn't close completely as a hammer, but nothing horrible. Maybe we get somewhat of a bounce as long as we don't crack through some of these lows. All right. So yeah, now guys, we're going to talk a little bit about some Robinhood. I think it's a lot to talk about with this name, Sharif, considering we know back in 2021 there was the meme craze with GameStop and the likes of AMC, and there was a bad rap around this name. But it doesn't necessarily seem to be the case right now, does it? No,
and the company was only founded in 2023, Joey. Yeah. I mean, it democratizes finance by putting it in the hands of, people without huge $1 million accounts. Yeah. It was a pandemic boomer. At least I always joke around about my brother-in-law, me teasing my brother-in-law there. But they do have a massive Gen Z, as well as millennial adoption. So good strength from them on here, and they look to build upon that.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And one thing that I think is extremely smart about these companies is they're taking advantage of the gamification of stocks now. And as you mentioned, just the whole grouping of the Gen Zers who love to play on the video games, who are consistently glued to their phone. I like what Robinhood is doing by taking advantage of it. And then now they're looking to adopt a 24-hour trading. I think there's so much room for this company to grow, and specifically.
Neil, Sean, whoever wants to take this, do you feel like the pivot into crypto here is that kind of secular tailwind that moves the needle for this company?
I think so, but it's not just that. This is everything. People want to go to Robinhood so they can use crypto, my retirement account, whether it's like sports gambling, event gambling. They just want their money in one place and all their assets in one place so they can move it around and so they can bet on this and trade in that all in one spot. And now that they're past some of the SEC investigation settlements this year, the crypto investigation closed earlier this year without any enforcement. So they're past some of these roadblocks, and as you mentioned, that 24-hour trading coming in, I think, is just another tailwind. So yeah, there's a lot going forward. It makes a lot of sense why they're getting that growth, and this is why everyone sort of thought that it was going to get added to the S&P 500. Still probably a little bit frothy, but in terms of the shift that we're seeing, it's about convenience, and it's about having access to all your assets in one spot and being able to trade them at will.
Yeah, I think the only bear case for Robinhood is the same thing that was sort of around it at the beginning, is this whole pay for order flow. Like if the regulators come in and say, sort of put a stop to, the main source of their business. I mean, we get a lot of millennials in here trading names like Open Door and all this, going crazy. If that sort of stops and they have to change the way they route their orders or pay for order flow and they gather some of their revenues, then I could see Robinhood coming to the downside. But right now, they're in the right space, right? They've got the right people involved, millennials there opening up accounts. And the funny thing about these brokerage accounts, I know maybe for all 4 of us, once you open one, it's hard, you know, you get your money in there, you're happy with it. You don't necessarily leave. And so if a lot of these customers that they have under the age of 30, they're still hanging out there, Joe and Sharif, Neil. So I don't think they're, you know, going to lose a lot of these deposits that they currently have.
No, I totally agree with that. And as Neil mentioned as well, too, just and Sharif, it's just the growing in the crypto space. We've seen from the previous reports is that the increase in crypto transactions year over year is growing. And you have triple-digit growth across the platform. I think that the tokenization of equities as well, too, is only going to add more of a tailwind. And to be honest with you, do many of these Gen Zers and the individuals trading off of their phone really know about some of these routing errors that may not occur?
And the thing I love too, guys, is we talked about tokenization, but what we also forgot to talk about is the private markets, about being able to own some or a piece of these companies like SpaceX and some others that are in the private market, at least for a moment. They were trying to give you access to that, whether or not the regulator kind of puts the kibosh on that. I happen to love it because there's this whole institutional investor accreditation that you have to go through, which is kind of, I don't know, I just feel it's BS, guys.
Well, people are done with the whole hand-holding thing. Like, this is all about it's all empowerment, right? You want the ability to decide where your money goes and what you are able to take shots on. This is, you can't tell me that you're going to allow event betting and sports betting and all this kind of stuff and be okay with it, but then you can't bet on some private company that's in the early stages. Risk is risk. And I think in a general sense, the market is opening itself up to more people being able to take more risk, for better or for worse. It doesn't really even matter what your opinion is. It's all happening, so who cares? It's happening at the end of the day, so you can either be on board with it or not.
The other thing, too, is the stock has tripled this year.
Yeah, literally.
So literally. I mean, it's a huge move. Can it withstand it? We'll see. You know, right now, great story for Robinhood.
Yeah.
But,
and one more thing, Katina, man, is when did the gold membership come out? It's not that old, and you already have over 2 million subscribers on the gold membership alone. So that's fantastic for the company. So that's another paid incentive right there for the company.
All right, guys, thanks for chiming in. We're going to have to go to Adair momentarily. She has breaking news at the big desk.
Keep an eye here in PUBM, Pubmatic on watch. We have a report here from Adweek, which is a tech industry publication, specifically in the ad side of things. Pubmatic PUBM is a supply-side platform helping brands buy ads on various properties. They are accusing Google of illegally monopolizing the ad tech market, and they're expecting billions of dollars in damages in this antitrust suit. So PUBM, antitrust suit against Google. Not a ton of volume on this, but a volume spike with this catalyst. Again, I think it's about 300,000 shares traded so far in the day for PUBM. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adira. And as Joseph and I sign off, send it to the big boys, I want to bring to your attention SNTG. We brought this one to you guys during the news segment. It is back into the area high, 875. It's up 318%. This one's really going SNTG. Trade it carefully. Joey, leave him with a thought, baby.
Yeah, no, guys, it's a little bit of a choppy session throughout the day. We had a major runner in Octo, so that's some phenomenal stuff. Well, guess what? It's only Monday, and we got the rest of the week to trade, Sharif. So keep those risk measures in place, and let's rock and roll.
Good to have you back, brother. All right,
Thank
big
you.
boys. They're diag. They're not that way anymore.
No,
they're kind of like that way now.
They're southeast.
Bang.
Why,